It's fine. Let's go. All right.
I mean, I guess this goes to show you, you can't judge real public work on push for yeah.
Never know, you never. Thank you, Mayor. That's great. Oh, because I want her to be. Yes.
Yeah.
You're ready to stand for the pledge, aren't you? You're ready. Oh, good deal. You all right? You got some more to be?
Yeah. It's not that. Oh. I'm bringing that.
Like, are y'all doing shots back there or what? Fran, who's here for the parade? LT? Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, just a minute. Okay, are y'all ready? Everybody ready? All right. Good afternoon. It's the city Port Aransas City Council regular meeting Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. We're going to call the meeting to order with the opening prayer. Lieutenant Stokes, could you?
Good afternoon. Please bow your heads as we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you or for the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so, from your boundless and gracious nature. Today, many of our cities and towns in our country are at a crossroads. Therefore, we seek your blessing and favor to be placed upon our mayor and council members. May they engage with the citizenry in proactive ways. May there be a balanced strategy to address the collective needs of our city and citizens to be able to move forward in positive participation. I pray for our mayor, council, and various levels of city officials and staff. I ask that you graciously grant them the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, confidence in what is good and fitting, and the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement, and for personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, LT. All right, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Our second item is the public hearing. So the Port Aransas City Council will conduct a public hearing on the following amended Chapter 25 zoning Division 2 off-street parking and loading, Section 25-161, number of off-street parking spaces requirement. The proposed change is that all dwelling units outside of R1 residential 1 district will require one parking space per sleeping room plus an additional one parking space. I don't have any cards for anyone wishing to speak on that item. Is there someone in the audience? Okay. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and move on to citizen comments and reports. There are 3 citizen comments here. I would like to make a statement before we start citizen comments. So if you'll bear with me. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the city to address and update you on the loss of gas service the city experienced over this past weekend. While an interruption of any kind of utility service is never convenient, the city of Port Aransas understands that this situation happened at the most inconvenient time during the last big weekend of spring break. and what was economically damaging to many local businesses. We thank you for your patience and your understanding as the city has and will continue to work many long hours to restore service to all of our customers as quickly as possible while maintaining the highest level of safety for everyone. We do want to thank the gas crews from Equix, the company that recently is helping us with our gas lines, the gas crews from the city of Corpus Christi, and of course, our own city staff and employees who've worked lots of hours to make this happen. I can assure you that we are dedicated to looking deep into exactly what caused the issue and how we can best assure what we did face, this unforeseen situation, does not happen again. I want to give David Parsons some time because he's the expert and he's been living and breathing us for the last week almost, I feel like, just to give us some details. And then we will have some time for citizen comments.
Mayor, do you want me to give this at the agenda item or now? What's the?
We do have an agenda item. There is not anyone signed up necessarily to speak about the item.
Yeah,
So we can look if you want to
do it at the agenda item.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to make sure.
get into it deeper.
All right. And it is pretty early in the agenda for those of you who are here. Okay, so Scott Teenser, you're first, no particular order.
Good evening. I'm Scott Tanzer. I own Port A Beach Buggies. Later last summer or early last fall, a citizen group of council members, golf cart owners, city staff, a couple of Rick and his group, and even some regular HOA members came together to talk about some golf cart rules and regulations moving forward that may potentially help us going forward in the future, not just 2022 or 2023, but above going forward. And I'm not big for new rules, but we need a couple. But there's a lot of rules out there we just need to enforce that probably clean us up. But I kind of felt like that group did a really good job. Couple of hours each meeting. I think it was a total of 3 meetings, maybe it was 4. I don't remember 100% certainly, but it seems like nothing came out of that meeting. And kind of basically, instead of a list of 8 or 10 things, we got down to 3 or 4 things. And 3 or 4 things was we definitely would like to do something with car seats. Car seats are really not recommended for golf carts. We'd like to get them out of there. We'd like to definitely get a lot more enforcement on kids riding on laps and lap driving and moms and dads doing that. And then last but not least, Highway 361, some really stern enforcement with that, because we all know the downside of 361, people driving 50, 60 miles an hour, alcohol and sun, underage driving. I don't think we need to rehash it, but I think we all know it exists. There's 3,000 rental carts. There's 3,000 residential carts. There's probably a couple of hundred unlicensed golf carts running in and out of here. There's 6,000 carts out here. And I'm taking off my homeowner hat. I'm taking off your American Bank hat and your retail store hat and your retail store hat and your council members. And I think you guys missed it. I think you whiffed. I think you messed up. We're 2 weeks from Easter. We're 3 weeks from Sandfest. We're less than 8 weeks from today for Memorial Day. We don't have anything in place that could really do some good for summer 2023. It's always hard to lead. It's easy to follow. And I think you kind of left it stand pat and we weren't prepared for spring or early summer. I'm disappointed in everybody there because I think we need to do something. I just happened to be on the phone with my insurance agent yesterday. He called me for a random object, and I started talking about some stuff coming up. He said, Scott, there was 13 or 14 fatalities in the United States last summer and early last fall, and there was one in the first quarter, somewhere between the East Coast and Galveston. I don't know where they were. Not that I don't care. They weren't in Port A. And but it's coming. The insurance is rising. That's on me, not on you. But it's going to come to the point where it's going to turn this business really sour if we don't start thinking about leading. And that's more regulation. I am, whether you want to call it a Republican or a Democrat, doesn't matter what you are. I'm for pro-regulation when it comes to safety. And we should start thinking about leading with safety. I know you guys have spent a great deal of time with the STR people about, parking and people mounted things and some of the crowd control. They're the same customers on the golf cart that's in the condo misbehaving.
Scott, you want to give us a wrap up?
Well,
we hit our 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't come in here and complain too much. But I want you to look at this picture. Why don't you pass that around? I think if that picture doesn't illustrate what we need to do, for both Highway 361 and baby seats. I think we're missing it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Just real quickly, the top picture was a golf cart in the IGA parking lot just 5 days ago during spring break. 2 moms, mid-30s,
Oh.
2 baby seats in that golf cart. Look, we live in an environment that's rust. But once if the seatbelt latch came undone, good faith said they were snapping it. Once that mom turned left or right and that thing.
All right, Scott, I got it. In our fairness of 3 minutes, you're way beyond it.
We'll bring it back up
Okay,
at the,
yeah,
okay?
yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Scott. All right. So the other 2 people signed up, I believe are both some of our attorney folks that have entered or wish to interview for the attorney spot. So I'm going to let you both defer to the item. So you want to speak at that time. Is that correct? Mike Rivera?
Yes, that's correct. I think I put that on.
Yes, you did. I just want to make sure. And then Thomas, you want to speak now or at the item?
Gush. and
Gush.
I'll take it that I-
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. All right. Perfect. Okay. So we'll move on to item 4, which is scheduled for an executive session.
Yeah, Mike is at the hospital still.
Right, our attorney who was supposed to be here for this executive session item is at the hospital currently. So we are not going to be able to go into executive session for that item pursuant to the rules for that. So we're going to move back to item 5, which is open session, since we never closed. We didn't go to that, and then move on to our consent agenda items. Council reviewed the consent agenda, and is there anything anybody would wish to pull, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Are we approving the whole consent?
Yeah,
Consent agenda.
Whole consent.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the whole consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owen,
yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes. All right, item 7 is items for discussion, which is item D is the first item, and we're going to discuss and take action on the discussion regarding our natural gas system supply. David?
Yeah, let me kick this off, and I'd like to, let me pull up Google Earth, because I'd like to start off with kind of an overview so that everyone gets kind of a good idea of
No, sorry.
I want to show everyone what exactly the city gas system is. So the city gas system goes back to I think it goes back to the 50s, and the city purchased it from a private entity 30 plus years ago. The city's gas system begins down at, and here's Mustang Island. Let me zoom back out. We start down at Fish Pass, which is roughly. Pull up some lines here so I can draw. So Fish Pass is just down here in the state park area. That is the start of the city system. We come back into town with a 4-inch, brand new 4-inch high pressure. And then the distribution system that is going to everyone's houses is under construction. So that's the current $25 million project that's under construction with Equix. Within about 2 years, we will have a 100% brand new system. However, our $33 million brand new system ties into a 72-year-old delivery supplier. So that is definitely our Achilles heel. There are a series of 4 offshore wells out in this area that supply the city its gas. This gas company also has about 8 wells over in the Bay Area. These wells all used to be interconnected, and they would, at one point, up until about 40 days ago, they delivered to Portland Gregory. under the ship channel. It was a 16-inch line. It delivered roughly 15,000 MCF. That's the volume of natural gas to kind of the grid system, which is the interconnected mainland. And about 4 years ago, they were directed by the Corps of Engineers to remove this line under the ship channel because it was an impediment to the dredging project. The line was too shallow, and with the dredging going down another 15 feet, it had to be removed. That line officially went off service January 23rd of this year, which left this operator's system, his 13 wells, went from 15,000 MCF delivery to just us. We are the sole user now on the system. We use approximately in the summertime, about 200 MCF a day. In the fall and spring, we can hit up to 400. In the wintertime, we can hit, up to 600. So what he had to do on January 23rd was basically he turned off all 12 of his wells, except for the one out here he calls the Big Dirty, or it has some crazy nickname. He turned off all but one of the wells, but on that well, he, had to tweak it way back. Because what he was not doing, which he probably should have been, was even though his lines weren't delivering anywhere to the grid, he was not packing his system. Packing means you're putting as much gas into the lines as possible. Now, in years past, that system had so much gas in it that he could shut down production and go out and do maintenance, and we could live off the pack PSI for days and days. So, prior to January 23rd, shutting down and doing maintenance wasn't an issue. After January 23rd, shutting down and doing maintenance was a major issue, because without the pack in the system, we would rapidly drop our PSI. And that is what happened on last Friday. His well went out around noon. He found out about it about 12:30. It was probably related to the cold front and his wells being tweaked back. I'm not a valve pump compressor guy, so I do not have all the details at this time. The Railroad Commission will, I don't know what level of investigations they do. I've never dealt with them, but they have been notified of the complaint. So on Friday, when the cold front hit, we believe that, or at least we're being told that was enough to shut that last remaining well off. We find out approximately about 7:20. I get my first call from a restaurant, 7:20 p.m. Friday. I was thinking, well, maybe it's your plumbing. Let me call a neighbor. So I call a neighbor, how's your gas? And then they were like, wait a second, it's dropping out. So we went to their neighbor and we soon figured out that, hey, this one area might be going down. And because our gas guys are out of town, we called them in. So they were on their way in. I quickly kept driving around from restaurant to restaurant, chasing this thing to the south. And then we figured, all right, this thing is systematically dropping out to the south. So about that time, about 30 minutes later, and our guys get to our regulator station and we discover, okay, the supplier has dropped just basically out of the park. No gas from our supplier. By about 9 o'clock, we called. The only way to save the day at that point is to have a compressed natural gas company. And I don't know if you've been out on the road, but there's one sitting out there right now. The closest one that we have a contract with, these are very specific companies, is in the Southeast Houston area. So we called him at 9 o'clock. He called us back probably about an hour or so later. had issues with drivers, couldn't deliver until Saturday morning. Which meant we were pretty much dead in the water. We could not get any pressure on the line. And it basically was the worst situation possible is that your line drops to no PSI at all, zero, no pressure on the system. Pilot lights go out. There's not even enough gas for that. Once that happens, and you saw what happened this weekend, the protocol we have to go through is we have to physically lock with a zip tie every meter in town. So I think we zip tied probably in excess of, I don't know, 1,600 meters. That's pretty quick because you don't knock on the door, you don't make contact, you just go to the meter, turn it off, zip tie it, move to the next one. We did that all day. It took all day Saturday. Probably half the day Sunday. And then we went to the next step was we finally got our truck down, got it hooked up to the city's system, repressurized the system, and then slowly started to bleed air, starting in the north end, bleeding the air. So the gas is now flowing from Fish Pass into the system. It's pushing air out as it goes. So we're bleeding air that took us probably about 4 to 5 hours, 6 hours. 6 hours to do that step. And then around maybe 6:30 on Sunday, we were able to open a handful of restaurants, just people that happened to be at the restaurant. We opened a handful of restaurants, hotels. I don't think we did any residences Sunday night, did we, Lawrence? Just maybe, I don't think we did. So, well, oh yeah, we opened the school. That was the first person we opened was the school. Got the school up and running. We recruited over the weekend. We recruited Equix, which is our natural gas, our gas system builder. We recruited him. He supplied us crews for the last 5 days. Corpus Christi Gas Department has been super proactive. So we, big thanks to Mayor Paulette and Peter Zanoni. We reached out to both of them. They've been great. I think we had 6+ crews for Corpus every day this week. So once we started turning back on, we had, then it gets real hard because then it's a door knock and it's a, hey, we're here to turn your gas back on. So you have to make contact with somebody. If they're home, then you're unzipping it, turning their pressure on, bleeding their valve. And then, most of them you go inside and you help with pilot lights. So very super time consuming getting people back on. That's way worse than the zip tying shutdown. So we progressively worked our way through all the zones in the city. We think we're over 1,400 back on. We're now concentrating on, people that didn't even know what's going on, second homeowners, management companies that didn't have anyone coming until Friday. So we're basically, we cut Corpus loose and Equix, and we're down to tomorrow. We'll just be down to staff doing, our city crews, doing call outs and getting people turned on. It could take weeks. You're going to have people that second homeowners that might not be here for several weeks, and then, hey, my gas is off. And so, that's going to be going on. So in a nutshell, that's what happened. That was the cause. And the question that we need to really figure out is how do we get better? How do we get a better redundant source? We're very limited. There's currently 2 players. There's one other system on Mustang Island who also does not have anywhere to deliver product. We've met with the City of Corpus Gas Department. They were very proactive. They reached out to us. They're actually doing some design work on how they could possibly get gas. They do have a small 2-inch that comes over Packard and goes to Lively Beach. That really doesn't help us, but they do have 130 PSA line PSI line right behind the Burger Company. So, they're looking into, though we think 130 PSI isn't the ultimate fix for us because it maybe doesn't have the pressure, but it could at least be a backup that saves our system from dropping to zero, because that's the ultimate, that's the ultimate foul. So Corpus seemed really, they were very proactive. I was really happy with how they reached out to us. They brought over one of their designers yesterday, met with their director, Matt Mahaffey, a really good guy, had some great ideas. So we got to figure out how to get some redundancy and get a second source.
So with our current supplier, obviously they have a bunch of wells. I'm not a gas expert, so forgive me, but can they not like partially turn on 2 or 3 wells to pull from multiple sources? Multiple wells instead of just only from one?
Yeah, I think, I think we need to, and like you, I'm not a gas expert either. Everything I've learned mostly is like in the last week or so. I was never a gas guy before, but we got to at least get with this current guy and get him to pack his system more, to at least get us over the hump to where we're not having to sit a truck out there
So
24/7.
So how long is that truck gonna be there?
Well, right now, he's, the supplier is waiting for the winds to drop, because right now offshore is really bad. And he's trying to get out and do some more maintenance. And we're gonna keep the truck there
Yeah.
probably until Saturday, until we get, better word that, the wells are operating, and maybe somehow he can pack the system. He's looking into how he could do a better job, because what he did was basically he went down to the bare minimum. He said, well, Porter Rands is here's, so when you do the math, we're about 300 MCF a day. They were delivering 15,000. That's 1%, 1.5%. So Port Aransas was 1.5% of their production.
So he's our only option right there. That's our
That's
only
that.
guy.
We can buy gas from one individual. Now, he recently purchased this about 3.5 years ago. It used to be South Cross.
Yeah, I knew that.
And then around 21, 22, South Cross sells to, you could call them by 3 names, Aqua Tranquilo, Kilo, whatever.
Cutting that line,
White Marlin, what's that?
cutting that line off to Portland was.
That was the demise.
So did we ever have gas over here by electric and the water cross?
You mean crossing AP?
Yeah.
I've never,
Never.
I never knew about, I would
Never
never,
heard of it.
no.
Well, what they underestimated is it was spring break and it was cold and every house was occupied in this town.
Yeah, how do you do
Didn't
your
that factor? I mean, and
I
each-
don't personally,
Feel like-
I don't
We don't
think, the light was on, but no one was home.
Dave, he's not getting the line back, Portland ever?
The reestablishment boring to the new dredge depth, the bill on that is 15 to 21 million. And the answer was, that's a definite no. It's a decent, what we're learning is that it is a decent enough play of gas to where, so the ultimate fix is Flower Bluff is, and I forget what the name, it's tying into the grid or whatever it is, but you get the midstream companies. Flower Bluff, and I don't know exactly where, but that's the ultimate, that's the goal of these two companies that are on Mustang Island that don't have anywhere to go. Their ultimate fix is not just selling to Corpus, because I don't think Corpus can buy that much from them. I'm not sure, but their ultimate fix is to somehow get connectivity to Flower Bluff. That's their ultimate. That's the direction they're looking. They are not looking to bore under.
We're the only ones getting gas from that guy right now.
Where at? Well, yeah, because he used to,
Crazy.
99% of his gas used to go into a 16-inch line under the ship channel to Portland. That's where he went for. That's where that system has gone forever and a day.
So then another question would be is, what's the feasibility of him even staying in business with such a, because
yeah.
that makes
Yeah,
operating a business very difficult if you go from 100% down, we're 1.5%
yeah,
of his business now,
yeah.
and he's lost all that income. So,
Yeah.
that means things aren't maintained. That means there's all kinds of other issues happening.
If they can get to, you're right, and that's why we have to get rolling and figure out how to get some help from Corpus or somewhere.
So, I think
Yeah.
that's the main thing, is just we've got to find some kind of,
Yeah,
moving forward, redundancy, whatever it is, another source.
I mean, we've gotten lucky, but this system is reaching its. The gas system in the past has been very reliable. It was the only utility that survived Harvey. It never went down. It was the only utility that survived Winter Storm Uri. It went down in a couple areas, but it held. So the system, it's been good to us, but it's getting up there in age, and it's time we got to fix it.
We're replacing the system, but.
I mean, I mean,
Supplier issues.
yeah, it's that, we're gonna, Urban Jim's here, we're working on our system. When it's finished, it's gonna have alarms, it's gonna have bells and whistles, we're gonna know everything, it's gonna be on speed dial when it's finished. But right now, it's the vulnerability of, these wells have gone down, and now we're like, how long do we want to keep a truck there?
The inland wells don't help. He's got to go out.
Now, the inlet, the 4 offshores go to, so what we've learned is the 4 offshores come in right here into this facility, and let me zoom in right here. This is called White Marlin, and the natural gas and there's maybe a couple gas people out in the crowd. I see Leroy out there. It goes in, and basically you're trying to get your butanes out, your propanes out, because we want the methane. And so it's called stripping, dehydrating, drying. This is kind of a low level stripper dehydrator. It's not the greatest stripper because our gas does have a higher quantity of little butanes and it's a little bit dirtier than most because it's just that facility's not stripping out that stuff super like some other facilities inland. So that's where it goes. Then it back feeds to us to the fish paths. And then it comes in at about 350 psi on their side, and then we regulate it. We squeeze it down to 250 on the city side at the gate. Yeah, Jim. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that
Yeah.
people understand. We are, we've had this system, David's right. We've had a system that's been very reliable. Mitch has run it. It's been kind of doing its own thing. And we've really not made hardly any investment in it. It's just, we bought it, we patched it together.
When did we buy it? Do you remember?
It wasn't 30 years ago. It was during my tenure here. I haven't really been involved because Mitch is taking care of it. We've been super lucky with that. But
Early 90s?
yeah, I think so. And so,
I think that's when Mitch was hired.
yeah,
Yeah.
he may have come with the purchase. I mean, he may have been working with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway,
We shouldn't have let him go last month.
well,
Yeah.
is that we are getting technology, and there was technology for alarms before. And we lost it during Harvey, and it's being installed, and we will have it. But I want to make sure it's clear that had we had it all up and running and had called David and y'all and that, you would have gotten 3 hours notice to 5 hours notice, and you couldn't have done anything about it because it was going down anyway. because we can't get the supply. So that's the important takeaway from this is that we somehow, whether it's a redundant line or I think David didn't mention the idea that you can actually take these trucks like that and build a tank facility, but when you do that, the cost of the containment, the safety issues, the regulations of that,
Yeah, you're changing you're going from a distributor to
like almost like a
Yeah.
refinery.
you're changing your status.
So we're looking at that, but it's not as simple as, hey, let's just go buy one of those trucks and stick it out there. So, and the other thing I want to make a point at is there was a change, and I don't know that we were actually notified that this high-end supplier that's been supplying forever and doing, 100% of this supply, and we're this little bitty customer, that when it changed, did we get a big notice? Hey, we're selling this to Billy Bob's over here, and he's only going to have 1%. It's a completely different operation. And it's exactly what Tim said is that, now the guys cost for maintenance and the feasibility, not only of that, I'm not sure, does the same company operate the stripper cleaner? I mean, all that equipment is having to be maintained for 1% of the supply. So, ultimately what you see in these plays, so I've been told, and what we figured out is that at some point when it gets so costly, they just shut it in and say, bye-bye, I'm not in the business anymore, and move on to the next buy. So we don't want to have that situation whenever that occurs. So we are going to have to look at what expenditure you got to do to either tie into Corpus or connect to another person. And that's the challenge going forward. We got a really tough lesson, in this, but that's what happened.
So the company that we have a contract out of Houston with to provide
The CNG truck.
the CNG truck. So there's no other options for anything closer.
No, we have scouted, we've had details talk with a whole bunch of people in the industry. There's a few in West Texas. And there's a few, there's like 2 or 3 of these guys in Houston. And this guy is always the most responsive.
Hey, Dave, so they got that brand new monster neighborhood on North Padre Island, which is Corpus Christi, under construction that IBC is floating the bill on. Certainly they're bringing new lines. And
Yeah, so on the other side of the highway, Corpus does have a bigger 6-inch.
Yeah.
It comes in, so the one we were looking at is this 130 PSI that they could get to pretty quick. Then they also have a 6-inch that comes in. No, it comes in right in here by Snoopy's and Marker. It comes in here somewhere, and I think if I looked for a while, I could find it, but it comes in approximately over in this area, and it starts feeding all the subdivision stuff. So that's their big line.
So at the end of the day, it's going to be on us to connect it. I mean, it'll be on the full burden of the city to connect to a backup.
We don't know,
In primary.
there might be some opportunities for, if these 2 entities really want to get their product to market, they could be the ones that do the extension. That's a possibility. We just don't know enough details right now.
So,
That would be the ultimate fix is if they could, if the 2 operators on Mustang Island, they run that redundancy down to Corpus, and then somehow we can tee off and come back to Fish Pass with a.
So, all these options are probably quite a year out.
Here's what I don't know, but the director from Corpus said that, because I was like, oh my God, the permitting must be horrible. It's the Corps, and they said, actually, pipeline permitting is a lot easier than, because you're boring and you're missing a lot of wetlands. So he said, if you're smart enough and your designers know what they're doing, they can avoid a lot of permitting headaches, and you can relatively pull it off, but you got to get the money, you got to get your design, but it doesn't have the holdups like for example, expanding the highway down there that's in wetlands, that's monster permitting issues. And this can kind of, if you get lucky enough, then maybe you're not in permitting hell.
All right. So what are our options in the short term here? Till we get
That's
to.
what you mentioned it. And I just want to bring it back. If we can get the operator to pack the line like they used to, we would probably have effectively have that same truck
Okay,
instead of on top of the ground, under the ground, because that's all it is. They just, you know, you look at that truck and it's got a bunch of pipes that are all packed full of that. If they would run the pressures up on the line that's there, like the predecessor did, we would have had days of reserve. So we need to lean on the supplier to do that, and then we need to work beyond that. So
Is that-
that's the short term.
is that a contract issue or is it just something, hey?
No, it's not a contract issue. I mean, unfortunately, gas is like, it's like electric, it's like AEP, it's like the water district. It's kind of the Texas Public Utilities Commission, it's, their mantra is, we will provide you electricity if we have it. Right? So that's your contract with AEP. It's if they have power, they'll gladly sell it to you, but we don't have any kind of contracts with individuals that say, we are guaranteeing you 100% power all, 24 hours a day. You don't have it with electricity. You don't have it with water and sewer. You don't have it with cable. My phone went down this morning and dropped calls. Utility companies, it's just, so it's not so much a contract issue that you have to supply us with this. This is something we would have to negotiate out. It's not in the contract.
Hey, who owns the 130 PSI line?
That's the Corpus Christi line.
So that's the city.
Yes, sir. That's the city. And it goes right to, what he told me was right now, it doesn't quite come to the burger company, but it used to.
It's right behind.
Yeah. I think it's that thing right there. Yeah. It's that thing. And then there's the burger company, right there. Yes, that's where the 130.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It's 5.5 miles from your meter to that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
What
Right.
size is that line, you know?
I think that's,
Is it 2 inches?
no, it's bigger. I forget what he told me, Leroy. I just know it's 130.
For, $2. And my advice might get you a cup of coffee somewhere, but whatever size line that is, I would sure go with the 6 or 8 inch line from that point to your point as the short term fix to do.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, real quick.
I think we've got that, the contractor did make a statement, he's working on a deal to the Flower Bluff area you were discussing, he thinks in about 3 months, and it's just kind of what he's telling us, that once that occurs, he believes that he will have a little bit more redundancy where that shouldn't occur again. But that's what, he's telling us. So of course, he lost some redundancy, but once this occurs in 3 months, he believes he's gonna have addition. And there was talks about what we're talking about, dealing or negotiating possibly with Corpus as a backup for our own redundancy. That's, so I think things are a little bit closer to an endpoint than what we think. That's what I mentioned.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Well, speaking on my own behalf, I think that we, as a council, certainly want staff to continue all their efforts to go forward as quickly as possible to figure out both a short-term and a long-term solution for the city, because we are clearly going to continue to grow and expand, and there's a lot of things, that we want to make sure that we can provide for. So.
Aqua Tranquila has not abandoned us then.
No. We've been calling them daily.
Okay.
And like Lawrence said, they're both of the operators, they're both trying to get to either sell to Corpus or get to Flower Bluff and get back on the system to where they can dump their product. So, they're trying, they're not just like, oh, this is, 15, I don't know what 15,000 MCF value is it
15,000 MCF is 15 million.
a year,
A day.
a day.
Mhm.
So it's worth getting there.
Depends on whether the wells are still.
Right,
Depends on the price of natural gas.
right. So we're gonna work this hard. We'll keep you guys updated. Feel free to text me, come visit. I can give you as much details as you guys want on the progress we're making.
But just to recap, of the 1,900, 2,000 customers we have, we're probably at 1,600.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, over we're very high right now. The phones kind of stopped ringing yesterday at
I
noon
got an update on that.
Okay.
We're less
to go.
to go.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
why I said-
And those are mainly, second homes, people calling in. A lot of, Nicole's reached out to a lot of management companies, and
Yeah.
so those lists are kind of people that, oh, I didn't know, or,
I would like to thank the council for giving us the resources to get this done timely and quickly. This is probably the quickest I've ever seen for a turnaround with this sort of thing. Thank you.
yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you guys for all your hard work, because I know
Yeah.
it was a busy week for everybody and getting people out, spring break and I do know that there was a, economic situation for our restaurants and the people that are,
Yeah.
providing or needing that money, and that's a big deal, but I appreciate you got most
Yeah.
of them back on, fairly quickly, so.
I'd like to just add one thing while we're looking at
Yeah.
redundant sources. Is to also come up with some kind of system to let the end users know,
Yeah.
kind of an alert system. Where they get a text, maybe
Yeah.
they get an email.
Well, we did use our reverse, what's the name of our system? No, it's not co-red, it's like I something,
Yeah,
I info. So we did use,
I got.
we have 795.
Yeah.
We have 795 people signed up. You can go to the city's webpage, go to emergency management. So all those were going out to the
Okay.
phones. So if you are signed up, you were getting them. So
You gotta
what,
send-
I think what we're gonna do with that though, I think we can find a better one, Kelly, than the one we have. There's some ones that have gotten a lot more detailed. And you can, Nicole was telling me she was looking into them, but you can get ones that people can, people can sign up for like, okay, I want just weather, and then also you can do it by zones in the city. So you can really get detailed on how you push out messages. So we're gonna look into that. But I think right now our total,
Corpus 311 or.
just uses code red, reverse alert. Okay. Yeah, we have 794 registered. So 794 people in the city registered with the reverse alert. So they would have been getting,
Yeah. we got-
probably 2 updates a day, what to do, who to call. So that's in place, but we think we can make it better.
What's the name of it?
Info, and you can go to the city's webpage and go to the emergency
place.
emergency department. Yeah. Right, but it's kind of the real, because I was like, hey, let's and I think Kelly and I were like, how can we make it better to where everyone's, we were talking about, hey, let's just take everyone's phone number that's registered for utilities. But then I was like, Lawrence reminded me, Dave, that's against the Public Information Act. You can't build it backwards. You have to entice them to sign up. So that's kind of the Achilles heel of these things is you got to get people to sign up.
And Rick has stated
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah,
at our
but I
meetings
think
here about
let's-
reverse 911.
We're gonna make another run at a better version. And then try to really do like a public rollout and try to get it better to where everyone's on this thing. And, we do weather, utilities, traffic, we can do a whole bunch and we can get better at getting the alert out.
Put it on their gas bill.
Yes,
There you go.
yeah,
Or all utilities.
yeah. So that's a good idea. We can get better at that reverse alert. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, any other thoughts or comments on this particular item?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Dave, for that update.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to item E. It's ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Port Aransas, Texas General Obligation Bonds, Series 2023, levying a continuing direct annual ad valorem tax within the limitations prescribed by law for the repayment of the bonds, authorizing the execution of any necessary engagement agreement with the city's financial advisors and providing for an effective date. Andrew.
I was panicking. I was like,
Welcome.
I'll be truthful. I'm not as prepared for this packet. And then I was just looking at that going, oh my God, did I invite Andrew?
After the weekend.
I've got this part covered. Y'all have. to give it- let's let the commissioner lie.
Thanks for coming.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Andrew Friedman with Samco Capital Markets, the city's financial advisor. While y'all have been dealing with your gas issues, we received bids at 10 a.m. this morning on our $6.5 million general obligation bonds that were authorized by the voters in November. Very happy to report these bid results, and I've included those along with the final numbers. We received 10 bids today. The winning bid coming from Hilltop Securities, which is an investment bank out of Dallas, Texas, at a TIC, meaning true interest cost, of 3.308%. Very, very pleased with that interest rate. Very pleased with the number of bidders that showed up. That shows us that there's a lot of interest. We carry a double A plus credit rating from Standard & Poor's, so very high investment grade rating. That draws a lot of interest from investors all around the country that helps get us that low interest rate. On top of that, and I'm sure you all have seen the headlines over the last 2 weeks with crisis taking place in the banking world, there's been a flight to quality. So when there's turmoil like there's been, unease, investors flood into more stable securities, being treasury bonds, U.S. Treasury bonds, and high-grade municipal bonds. So we're seeing the benefit of that. That drives the prices of those securities up, which drives the interest rate down. So through just pure luck on all of our part, we're priced into a good market at 3.3%. We've seen yields come down probably close to 15 basis points over the last week. So again, we're getting the benefit of that. How does that compare to the models and what we were anticipating going into this process? We were running these at 4.5%. Back when we called this election, we knew that interest rates were going up, and they have been, maybe not up to that 4.5%, but when you're making a quote unquote promise to the voters going into that election, we want to be conservative and hope to come in under those rates. And so we've done that and more today. These will amortize over the course of 15 years, which is how almost all of our debt is. So we're well inside the useful life of any street improvements that we're making here. They'll be callable within 10 years, and they bear a fixed interest rate. So this rate won't be changing over the course of the next 15 years. If rates are somehow lower 10 years from now, we can refinance them as we've done with many of our bonds in the past. So again, very happy with the results. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I don't intend to go too quickly through this, but I don't want to bore you either. And then when we close, subject to your approval tonight, the funds, the full $6.5 million will be delivered to the city on April 19th. So I turn it over to you all for any questions, or David, if I've left out any pertinent information, or Darla, I'm happy to cover that.
Does anyone have any questions for Andrew? It's very competitive bids.
Yeah.
Very happy to see that.
Okay.
Any questions for Andrew? No. Yeah, you did a great job. No questions.
Thank you.
That all goes to David and Darla. In truth, going to the credit rating agencies and having to present our best foot forward. Y'all have done very, very well financially, and you continue to do so. There's lots of great things going on here in Port Aransas that y'all are a well-known name in the market, and people clamor for your bonds. So kudos to you all.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you,
for
Andrew.
your help.
Travels.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Right, there's a motion, a second. All those in favor? Fran, can we roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Chairperson Rowland,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Right, item F, adopting a 3 point. Oh, yes.
From you very quickly, so we can let go.
Oh.
Very much.
You're welcome. All right, So-
Thank you.
Item F is a resolution adopting 3.87% consumer price index CPI rate increase to the solid waste collection and disposal based residential contract with Republic Services. Setting an effective date and authorizing city manager to sign all documents associated with said contract. Hello, Mike.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, visitors. Glad to be here. A lot going on. I hear it. So on that note, I can give you some comfort on some things we've done with our services here in the city. If you're not, some of you aren't aware, remember, we did revise the residential schedule sometime back, and that has had some benefits. The less amount of calls to y'all, you know, it's working. Second thing we've done is on the commercial side. As we gear up for summer, we've already passed spring break. We have added more service days now available to your businesses we didn't have before. We used to have only 4 days you could choose for service. And that caused a couple of things. But folks, for example, for spring break and then for summer, would call us and ask for an additional dumpster to deal with the peak season for the volume of waste. And some of you didn't have room in your enclosures for that. And we all want enclosures for the most part for curb appeal and sanitary. So now, if you only had the option to get another container in 4 days a week, now you have up to 6 days a week. So many are not going to need that additional container. It's going to cost them less. It's going to give better service. It's going to prevent carryovers in the peak season when everybody overloads their containers. And keep in mind, it's not always what the businesses put in there. It's other folks decide to visit those containers too. And we do want it off the ground. But we thank you for paying for illegal dumping in some regards. So in any event, that has been the change that went into effect recently. And we sent letters and information out, notified the city that we had these additional days for people. We've also had to reroute some folks too. So you might have had a different day or two that you normally get collected. But the way that we made the changes, and for those that we did modify, it made sense. It's practical, and it will prevent the carryovers that we mentioned. Okay. Last piece is, of course, part of our agreement. We had our CPI increase that is a part of the annual escalators. And since you'll have the water sewer trash index, keep in mind, some cities have the CPI, the traditional CPI model, and they've had upwards of 8-9% in the last 6 months on their increases with everything, including inflation and other costs that don't always associate to the water sewer garbage index. You're on this one. So when you look at a 12-month average year over year, it's only drawing a 3.87% increase that will start effective March this month. So in any event, you can see on this letter, if you'll have a copy, the base rate that we bill the city for your residents, and then also for the seniors, which is a little bit reduced rate.
What's a senior? What age?
Yeah, what age does that start?
You're 65. You're not a senior yet.
But I'm getting
4
close.
years.
The trash rate reduction.
I think the new term is called matures. From what I understand.
I like that.
Really?
I was told that recently, yes.
Okay, matures.
So in any event, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but we appreciate the partnership with the city, and we're going to try to make sure that our services, of course, remain consistent and streamlined through the peak season. Okay,
Thank you.
thank y'all.
Thank you, Mike.
No questions for Mike? No.
Thank you.
I know our drivers love your community and they want to hang out here afterwards, so. All right, all right, take care. Have a good evening.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Mike.
Thank y'all.
Great,
Do we need a resolution?
yes.
yeah.
We need an approval.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Bigger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Pinal,
Yes.
Councilmember Edmondson,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes. All right. Item G, awarding request for qualifications RFQ 2023-01, City Attorney Services, setting terms and conditions and authorizing the city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative of the city in all matters pertaining to said contract agreement.
Okay,
All right.
Fran, you doing this one?
We got a lot of applicants, which was very nice, very pleasing. So thank you all that applied. I think that's great results.
Six total.
Mhm.
And I do know, Ostart Shelby and Macaulay was gonna be represented by Mike tonight. He is at the hospital with his wife.
Okay.
So he's
We have two that are on Zoom calls.
oh, we do
Oh,
have
we
two
do?
on
Okay,
Zoom.
perfect.
I do know that, Fran, were we able to mail out these earlier, or when did we get these out?
They go out the day after, or the day out that we received them.
Excuse me?
They got the day that we received them,
Okay, which was what?
which was the 15th.
Oh, the 15th, okay. Has everyone had a chance to review them?
Yes. Kind of.
Kind of, yeah, my
It's
review
been-
was kind of lacking.
I have reviewed them all, and obviously we get the opportunity if they're here in public to,
Right.
to listen to them and interview them,
Yeah,
but
okay,
I think that, we just need to listen, and if
yeah.
we think we need additional time, or if there's people that need additional time, then we'll
Yeah, okay.
go from there,
That's
so.
great.
Like more time, but. yes,
All right.
I would like to listen.
Do we want to start with the Zoom members? Fran,
Yeah, sure.
is that okay? Sorry. Gentlemen, you're in the line.
So we have Andrew Whitman. And then we have Alan.
And they're with, well, we'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, Alan. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Which firm you're with?
Are they on mute?
Oh,
Hold up. Can you guys hear us?
This is Alan Borquez. This is Alan Borquez with the Borquez Law Firm. I'm here with another attorney from our firm, Andy Quitner.
And I'm Andy Quitner with the Borquez Law Firm.
All right, well, why don't you guys go ahead and start with an intro of yourself and kind of just give us your background.
No.
Could they hear that? Yeah,
Hear us?
no, they're not hearing us.
Chat to them.
Hello, can you guys hear us?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, okay, why don't you guys go ahead and give us a brief intro of yourselves, please?
Okay, I'll go ahead and take the lead. There's a little bit of a delay on our end. Are you hearing us okay?
Yes,
Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm Alan Borquez. I would have loved to have been there in person. Yes.
I've got it.
Tell him to talk again.
and
Tell him to talk again.
Yeah.
his name's Alan.
Yes, Alan and Borquez.
Alan, can you give us a little bit more specific info on your firm and your municipal experience?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Sorry I couldn't be there in person on short notice, but I'll gladly come if you want to meet another time. Our law firm was founded 20 years ago. We celebrated our anniversary last November. And we were designed to be one. Yes.
Any other questions for him, or he's not?
Being very,
Yeah. What's the other gentleman's name? Or-
Andrew.
And Andrew, can you want to elaborate on your firm's experience with municipalities?
sure. They've got over 20 years, the firm itself. I would be assigned as the point person. I just finished 13 years as city attorney for Seguin.
Okay,
And before that, I was in San Marcos. And then I started my legal career in Corpus Christi at the federal court, then Nueces County and the city of Corpus Christi before I moved further north, so I am familiar with the area and some of its issues, albeit a number of years ago, but
On a typical day of the week, if I call, who would I get assigned to?
probably to me.
Yep.
So I would be the point person and you'd be able to reach me anytime.
Okay. Council, you want to jump in and?
Andrew, can you hear me? Okay. So elaborate, and I know this was all in the presentation, but just so we can get a quick review, elaborate a little more. How many cities do you currently represent? And how many are close enough in proximity to Port Aransas or maybe other coastal communities similar to ours?
Alan, can you answer that one or do you get it?
I don't think they can hear.
Yeah, I think we're having some hearing and delay problems.
Yeah, I think can you hear me a little louder? Yeah, we're having delay. Yeah.
No.
I mean, municipalities all face a lot of the same issues. I can relate most of the one I just retired from, but you know, they have utilities, electric, water. They don't have gas as their own utility, sewer service. So those are things, as you know, all of us know, have to go 24/7, or you've got people jumping on you in a hurry. So that, you know, that demands immediate response. Police departments anymore, you know, a lot of care there. And so there are a lot of similar issues. How often they come up depends on the size of the city, but you never know. Corpus suffered a loss of gas in the last year, kind of the same way. It has a supplier who had one pipeline, contractor of the suppliers actually dug through the pipeline and cut 100% of the gas. And that was to about 4,500 customers.
Do you guys represent anybody else in the coastal region?
That was garbled.
Is garbled.
Represent anyone else in the coastal bend region? Yeah.
That's a contingency, if I can help fix that.
I haven't been with the firm that long since I only retired from Seguin in December. So I'm not as familiar with all their customers. And I think Alan's having trouble hearing and getting through. Kennedy is close.
And they're out of San Antonio.
I think it's awesome.
I live in San Marcos.
Okay.
So I'm of council and I'm working out of the house. So I'm an hour closer or more, depending on traffic.
Okay.
Actually, from San Marcos, I'm lucky I have two ways to get there. You can take 35, 37, or you go through Nixon and down the back way.
Anyone else, council?
Can you hear you now?
Thank you guys very much. We're gonna keep going on to our other representatives that are here, or other firms. And we'd like to thank you guys for your submittal. And Then are they gonna stay on
Like to stay on
or can they watch from YouTube?
presentation.
Either way.
I'll gladly stay on. I logged out and logged back in completely. I'm not sure if this helped at all.
It does.
Yeah, we're hearing you a little bit better.
Well, I apologize for the technical difficulties. If it was painful for me, I know it was pretty rough for you guys. I'm sorry about that.
Right, that's all right, that's all right. All right, well, appreciate you guys and we're gonna move on to the next one. And feel free to stick around and watch. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Navarro here. Somebody can get Navarro.
All right.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Cynthia Trevino. Dan Santee sends his apologies. It was his intention to be here. However, he experienced a death in the family. And so we had to do huddle and shift offense. So Denton, Navarro, Rocha, Bernal, and Zach. Sometimes we are referred to as alphabet soup in our area, and that's okay. The firm has been around for many, many years. We were originally established by the founding partner, Lowell Denton. And our philosophy and everything we do is based on what Lowell and Rick Navarro originally encountered as city attorneys. So they were city attorneys in their own rights and their own respectives, and they hired outside counsel and were frequently dissatisfied with the service that they received and were dissatisfied with the billing that they saw. And so they had a dream to go out to provide a very niche level or area of legal services. And so that's what we do. We provide legal services to governmental entities. The vast majority of our clientele is city governments. And so everything that we do, we always go back to the original kernel of foundership, which was provide the best quality service, recognizing that our clients are stewards of taxpayer dollars. And mayors and councils, y'all are held to a very high standard. And, you know, every time election season comes around, your constituency reminds you of that high level of standard. And so our aim is to provide you those services, meet your policy goals as quickly and efficiently as possible. And by doing that, we have, I'm not going to go over each of the attorneys in there. Y'all have read that and y'all can read. So we have many attorneys, you know, anywhere from 45 years of experience, you know, to newer attorneys coming in, you know, 10 and 5 years of expertise in this particular area. And so we have a wide spectrum of specialists within, you know, the wide spectrum of things that come to governmental entities. So if you need a litigator, we have litigators. If you need a very specialized type of litigator, and normally for governmental entities, you need folks that can defend frequently land use problems, HR problems, those sorts of things, or those sorts of claims that don't get covered under TML. And so all of our litigators, that's what they do. They are either take assignments from TML or direct assignments from clients. And so that's what they do all day, every day, is litigate on behalf of governmental entities, which is, you know, has those slight differences from normal civil practice. We also have city government specialists. I fall into that category. We are primary, you know, trained as city attorneys. And so we have several of those. My personal background is when I first started to go to work, a million years ago, it seems like, you know, I was a utility billing clerk, you know, for the city I worked for. You know, went off to school, did my thing, you know, came back, and then from utility billing, you know, worked my way through the ranks. I went off and chased deadbeat parents for a while with the AG's office, you know, and then came back to governmental service and came back as a city secretary. The firm was our legal counsel. And so the last city I had to put it politely, was a city in disarray. By the time I got, you know, came back to it, and it had a lot of unique issues that had to be solved. We hired the firm, and the firm's philosophy is, again, we'll help you achieve your policy, but even more so, which sparked my interest, is we're going to teach your folks how to do what they do and how to do it better so that when they call and need legal service, that's all that they need is legal service. They don't need, any policy direction. And we can say, look to your, your governing body for that. So with that, at that point, I was a city secretary. Susan Rocho was a founding partner then. She convinced me to go to law school and come back through. And so, that's how I came to be a city attorney. So with your city attorney work, if you need contracting specialist, while you will have a managing partner, and that will be Dan Santee. If you need a certain specific type of contract, that work is going to go to the person within the firm who does contracts. For instance, Allison Bastian Rodriguez is a real estate expert. Real estate matters go to her because she can accomplish that more quickly. Do you have a big monster public information request, where we're talking, 10, 20,000 pages worth of documents, that's going to come to me and my team because that's what we do. My team and I, we handle those things, and we are frequently called in for special counsel types of things, so that if you have, and while we hope you never have that, if you have a critical incident that spawns national attention, and now you're looking at 300 requests coming in a day, and how do you get that prepped and ready to go to the AG's office? That's our area of expertise. So of course we give public information training, your TOMA training, and we have prosecutors on board. So if you have a local prosecutor that y'all prefer in municipal court, what we normally provide service then would be if you have a particularly thorny code enforcement problem or something that needs more than the normal, level of prosecution. Although I'm also a municipal prosecutor, and on our team, we have persons that we have hired away from the DA's office. So they used to be felony prosecutors, and they are now in the municipal court level. And of course, they also, do city government work as well. So of course, you saw the list of entities there. We do, tax districts, special districts. We've got general counsel, special counsel in some areas. But our primary work is city government.
And how many in your firm? How many attorneys?
Overall, at any given time, we run between 19 to 24, and we have shifts just like everyone else. Sometimes we're on the higher end. And we always, wish our attorneys, the very best, because, things change. And while it's a great position while you're there, life changes, and sometimes you have to move or you have to go. So we've had some wonderful people come and go through our ranks, but that's kind of the general area where we stay fully staffed.
Where's Daniel based?
Out of San Antonio.
In San Antonio.
Yes, sir.
Any cities in the coastal bend that you guys currently represent?
So we do have a few that we are providing general counsel services, or excuse me, special counsel services to, and they are shown there on our list. Some of them I'm going down the, I know we've got the lower Rio Grande Valley. That's a little bit further south. We've got Seabrook, San Benito, Robstown. A few of those are the ones that I can think of right off the bat that might be in the coastal bend area. We did run the traps for any conflicts of interest, and we do not have any conflicts of interest, with any of the entities here within that y'all might partner with or your immediate neighbors.
General practice is someone who will be here at each council meeting. It would be Daniel.
So that would either be Daniel or myself.
Okay.
Any Port Authority work? Corpus Christi?
We have one attorney who has done navigation districts and some port authority work. I know Lowell has done port authority work with Galveston.
Right.
Are there any things that you know of that your firm has handled down in the coastal bend that you're allowed to share us with your experience in this area?
So what types of
Just in general, helping a city in the coastal bend area, a topic or something that you've worked on?
So I know that we assisted the city of Rockport and Port Aransas with
We're Puerto
no,
Rico.
excuse, I'm sorry, not Port Aransas,
Aransas
Aransas
Pass.
County. In
Okay.
Aransas Pass.
Okay,
When they had issues with the general land office after Hurricane Harvey. So we assisted them with working through the, for lack of a better term, the red tape and that comes with working with the state. And those folks unfortunately they did end up, having to go to litigation, and it was a very specialized form of litigation. So Lowell and his litigation team, handled those issues.
okay. And the same in Rockport.
The same in Rockport. And then when we were in Rosenberg, the same in Rosenberg, their issues are a little bit different. But they struggle with the same sorts of, because of their proximity, they struggle with the same sorts of weather-related, disaster recovery tanks. And so actually I was there when Hurricane Harvey hit. And if anybody doesn't think a Honda Civic can go really, really fast, it can when it has to.
How many cities does your firm represent, or do you have that number?
Yes, ma'am, it's a bunch. I know it is, last count, I believe 42. And so, how that gets divvied out is, each attorney that is assigned regular city attorney work, you will have your 2 or 3 main clients that you are assigned to. And then, of course, you shift and move and work overload, as you need to. And some of our cities are smaller cities. And so I'll give you an example. I have 2 cities that are currently assigned to me, less than 1,000 population. So they may call once a year, and need some assistance and guidance. So, we're able to, provide that staffing, although it's a long list of clientele, not every clientele has the same level of activity and service that it's requiring from from its general counsel and from its city attorney. So that's how we're able to balance that out, because, some clients just don't need as much assistance. Others do, just because they're growing, bigger populations. They've got development coming to them, which brings a lot of land use and development concerns and issues with them.
In your experience, not your firm's, when you work with the city, do you work with the city manager? You work with council members? Do you work with staff members? How do you handle that process so that everybody is informed of what's going on?
So first and foremost, the governing body, we answer to you. And, because y'all are the hiring and firing, and the ultimate authority maker with that. If you are a council government or council manager form of government, then most of the day-to-day operations will go through your city manager. And although it doesn't happen frequently, sometimes some cities will be in a position where that information is not reaching the council. And if we spot a liability concern, something that the council needs to be made aware of, then we will give notice to the council and say, we need to be on your agenda. We need to have a closed session discussion with you about item X. Because, we may feel that you are not receiving, all the information that a council needs to receive. And so, we just kind of work that through, but frequently day-to-day stuff, is handled at city manager and, with the department heads and department directors, as outlined in your chain of authority.
Any other questions?
All right.
It's a
Thank
very
you.
good presentation.
Thank you very much.
All right, Fran, is there anybody here from J. Cruz and Associates? We didn't skip, did we? I'm just going down. Okay, I'm just going down.
And I believe Robert Duffy with you all here.
Okay, all right. Mike Guevara, would you like to come up next?
Good evening, Mayor Moore, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's absolutely a pleasure. My name is Mike Guevara, and I'm here representing Guevara Law. We're a law firm based in the Austin area. This is the background of our firm. We were initially started by a man named by the name of Gene Schatz, who was the assistant city attorney in the city of Lubbock. And much like Denton Navarro, he was not happy with the representation that his city was receiving from outside firms. So he decided that I can do this. And so he decided to go out and leave the city of Lubbock and start a firm representing municipalities. I was with a firm out of Dallas that did primary environmental law. And the city of Lubbock has one of the largest groundwater contamination problems on the planet, actually. And so I spent a lot of time in Lubbock up there and got to know Mr. Schatz. And when he left the city of Lubbock and decided to start that firm, then he gave me a call and said, I'm starting a firm to represent municipalities. Would you like to join me? And I first said, I'm not moving to Lubbock. And he said, no, that's not a problem because I need somebody in Austin for TCEQ, Railroad Commission, PUC, stuff like that. So so we started that firm. And unfortunately, Mr. Schatz passed away at a heart attack at a council meeting in shallow water. And so this was like almost 10 years ago now. But so I ended up inheriting the firm from there. The current iteration of the firm, Guevara Law, started 2 years ago in January of 2021 and branched off from the remaining three partners that we had just because we were going different directions. We do primarily represent municipalities. Right now we have two attorneys and myself, I've been representing cities for 20 years, but representing cities as counsel for about 14 years. And then Reka Rose, the other attorney, and she has been attorney for 20 years and has been representing municipalities for most of that. She did do some work for State Commission during the Sunset Review, but she's been working with municipalities for the most part of that time. Right now, we have 18 cities that we represent. 15 of those we are actually the city attorney for, and 3 of them we represent, 2 for economic development purposes, and then 1 for a special purpose regarding a reservoir that is being put in next to their city that they're not happy with. So we're representing them in that matter. So I would be the primary point of contact, but obviously if I'm not available, then Reka Rowe would be available to answer the call. We also have in our office Natasha, who is a JD, but she's a lawyer, but not an attorney. The difference is she hasn't sat further and taken the bar, but she came to us from the Williamson County Attorney's Office where she was their PIA chief. And so that's what she did. She handled PIAs for Williamson County. And so we brought her over to do a lot of that with us and then also manage the municipal courts because we do prosecution for 8 of our cities. And so that's who we are. Definitely our philosophy really is with regard to relationships with the municipalities because obviously y'all serve the citizens. I've been a council member and mayor pro tem in the city of Cedar Park, which is a suburb of the city of Austin. And well, actually, I think Austin is our suburb. A population of about 87,000. So I was blessed to serve there and was actually on council when COVID hit. So that was a lot of fun during that period. If any of y'all were on council during that period of time, that was a whole lot of fun. So as far as coastal bend, unless you consider the Red River coastal bend or any type of coastal, no, we don't represent anybody that's in the coastal bend area, but we handle everything from economic development to day-to-day operations, obviously appearing at council meetings, litigation. Right now, we're handling 2 federal litigations, one with regard to placement of an antenna, and then another one with regard to the sale of some lake property from one of the cities that we represent, because lake property is, you'll probably know with the coastal stuff, is a little bit different than regular property on how you can lease it and all that kind of stuff. So it's very specialized with that. So we're handling that as well right now. So that's it. That's our firm. We'd love the opportunity to work for Porter Aransas. So that would be off to you. You have any questions for me? I'm right.
What's the average size of the city you represent?
Ooh, average. I don't know. So we have anywhere from we got 3 that are right around the 10,000 area, and I think one's 11 and one's 9 and one's almost 9. So those are home rule, just like y'all, and just like y'all are a council manager form of government. So very familiar with that. One of them has 7 council members where the mayor votes, just like that. So just like I was reading your charter, just like the way that y'all are set up. I have another city right now who is a suburb of the city of Lubbock, and they're actually going through the charter process. So we're going to be on the November election with a charter so they can become home rule. So that's a lot of fun and interesting. I've worked on revising some charters for a couple of our municipalities, including completely revamping the way that elections are handled, how the council, how long they sit, how they're elected, how they're replaced if there's vacancies, and then that stuff. So I've had the opportunity to do that as well. Some of our cities are pretty small, as they're saying, so you may hear from them. Like we represent the city of Rural, and they just called me on Monday, and I was like, oh yeah, and it's nice to see Joyce is still there, because it's been a while since you've heard from them, but we get to do some interesting things. A lot of interlocal agreements with those smaller cities, because they're looking for counties and cities that are closer to help them with some of the services that they're, and that's actually what we're going to do in this situation, is try to get an interlocal agreement with the sheriff's office to provide some police and code enforcement within the city. But so it's a wide range, I think, all the way from 600 to 11,000.
With your experience of being municipal attorney, at what point have you called in other people as opposed to try to do everything yourself, when you will say, we need to get some extra stuff? Have you done that?
Yes.
And do you have an example?
Yeah, so we've got a couple examples. One of our cities, which is a home rule city, was contemplating the possibility of, they have places, but they were contemplating the possibility of doing districts, which obviously, and that was actually when the DOJ was, the Department of Justice was still in that, and you had to get all the approval and everything. That's since gone away. But we did contact another firm to come in and do that analysis and do all the mapping and everything, because we didn't feel like we had the expertise, but then the council decided not to do that at all. And then recently we've had a situation where we were working out a problem with a groundwater district. I would say fighting, but that's not nice. And so we brought in another council, more specialized in water rights, to help come along, and they helped out for a little while. We used them where we needed them, and now they're backed off, and we've moved forward.
Within your role as a city attorney, what would you say is your wheelhouse, where you feel very confident in your expertise by what you have done in the past?
I mean, when you get to serve as general counsel for cities, you get a wide range of opportunities to do a lot of different things. My favorite part of the work is economic development. I've had the opportunity to do quite a bit of that for some of our cities, and some of the stuff that we've been able to do has been in the Washington Post and on CNN. And one of the cities we represent, the city of Elmendorf, which is southeast of San Antonio. In fact, I was there this morning. I did them in the morning, then I went for lunch, and then drove here. So that was convenient. And actually, Samco, so I know Mr. Freeman. I work with him in multiple cities, actually, so I know him pretty well. In fact, we just did for Elmendorf, a bond through a PID to bring in a new development. But economic development is a lot of fun. I got to work on a project for the city of Elmendorf, because we have a regional rail facility that we were able to bring in and get annexed into the city, and Halliburton and Schlumberger and a lot of people, and actually a lot of fun. Home Depot just opened up a big facility out there, so that was a lot of fun to work on that. It was called Project Jezbal for a year and a half before we were allowed to say what it was actually doing. So I enjoy that quite a bit, but also I have a heart. My dad did 41 years with the city of Dallas as a police officer, so I have a heart working for police officers and law enforcement, and absolutely appreciate what they do moving forward. So I enjoy working with the police officers as far as well. But as far as wheelhouse, I mean, I've done everything from drafting ordinances to actually creating a code of ordinances. I don't ever want to do this again, but I don't think I'll have to in this city. I've actually created a budget for a city. When I showed up at a council meeting, and we were supposed to present the budget, and they said, what budget? And so called the accountant on the phone, got last year's budget, got the department set together, and in 4 hours we put a budget together. Don't ever want to do that again. So had the opportunity to do that, but it's pretty wide range.
Okay. So a lot of 380 agreements and
tons of 380 agreements. I've drafted 380 policies for at least 3 cities that I can think of off the top of my head. We've done quite a bit of 380 agreement. I've also had the opportunity to work on some legislation that that I believe helps cities, and got a couple bills that are going through right now that Representative Terry Wilson is sponsoring, 3697 and 3699, trying to clarify the shot clock process with regarding subdivision platting. And some of the difference in that, because it's really difficult, particularly when you represent the smaller cities, like, for example, city of Wolfforth, and you got big brother Lubbock next door, and you get all these developers that come down and like, well, Lubbock does this, we're not Lubbock. And so there would be, so basically what we're trying to do is just get it a situation where everything has to come to the council, right? Y'all are the elected officials, so the buck should stop with y'all. And so move from there, and then all the policies and what's going to be required regarding documentation and anything else will be published on the city's website constantly, so developers can know, whether you like developers or not, developers will know what it is the requirements are to be able to move forward, so they don't get I guess held hostage basically by the subdivision process. So I have an opportunity to work on that today, that's a lot of fun.
So why did you pick Port A?
Have you been to the beach?
Probably more than once a year.
Okay, yes, right.
Yeah.
Well, and I hope so. And I
busy.
absolutely hope so. And I mean, obviously the draw of, there's certain cities in the state of Texas, obviously a lot of them are big, like Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Cedar Park, where you're not going to have that opportunity. But there are certain cities in Texas that when people say, like you can say Port A, you don't even have to say Port Aransas, people know exactly what you're talking about. And so as a Texan growing up in Dallas my entire life, you grow up in Dallas and being a Texan my entire life, that's fun to say that you're the city attorney for the city of Port Aransas. So obviously just like the opportunity to do that. Plus, city work is what we do. It's a lot of fun. In fact, we were talking beforehand that just how much we enjoy working for cities and just the enjoyment of that. I was talking about, we just were able to secure an additional 1,000 acre feet of water for one of our small municipalities, which will probably set them up for the next 50 years for water. And we fought that fight for 4 years. And when we finally got it, and that's just a good feeling, because people are going to be getting water and cooking and taking showers, and they're never going to know that Mike Guevara had anything to do with it. And that's fine, but you made that community better, and that's why we like to work in municipalities.
Super. Anybody have any other questions?
I think you answered.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
All right, Thomas, you're left. You're the last one.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Thomas Gush and I am clearly overdressed.
You'll learn quick in Port Aransas. Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I want to thank you all for the opportunity publishing this as an RFQ to allow all of us to come down and speak to you guys. Salt water in my blood, and any chance I get to come across that ferry is a good day. So I really, really enjoy the opportunity. Our law firm, Roberts, Odify, Woody and Wall, is based out of Port Lavaca, Texas. It was founded in 1966, 65, 66. I'll be honest, I wasn't with them then. My own history is for the last 13 years, I've been the city attorney in-house as an employee of the city of Victoria. I took my retirement from there because of two things. Number one, just like your fire department and your police officers, I'm double dipping. I'm taking my retirement income and I'm adding on to that some private practice. But also because I had reached a point in my career where I wanted to expand my public service beyond my own community. What Mike just said, what he and I were talking about earlier, that opportunity to serve people, I get the opportunity to help you serve your community and see your vision carried through for your residents. And like Mike said, I told him he's a hard act to follow. If I get the opportunity, even if my name isn't known, to help your community achieve your goals, that's a great feeling for me. And I look forward to the opportunity to do that.
So there's 4 names in your partnership title. So tell how many attorneys you have.
There are 6 attorneys in the firm.
Okay.
Mr. Roberts is no longer with the firm. He passed away in November. The firm hasn't been renamed since. He had previously retired. Anne Marie Odify is a 25-year attorney. She principally represents governmental entities, cities, including the city of Port Lavaca, the city of Bay City, and the city of Palacios. She does some work for Calhoun County and various other entities, including navigation districts. Carly Wall, no, let me go in order. Sandra Whitty is board certified in property owners associations. It's a relatively new specialty for the Bar Association. And what she does is very similar to governmental work, actually. She works with developers to set up property owners associations when they do subdivisions, but then she manages the POA afterwards. And so a POA, even though it's not exactly a governmental entity, it works very much like governmental entities do. In addition, she was previously the general counsel for the Calhoun Port Authority, the port at Point Comfort. Carly Wall principally does family law, but she's also a municipal prosecutor. She has been the city attorney for the city of Point Comfort until I joined the firm and took over the city of Point Comfort myself. We have a couple of other associates in the firm who have less experience, but all of us, including our most recent associate, have governmental experience, and 3 of us have been city attorneys. That's probably more information that you wanted to know. I'm sorry.
No, what, how about, would you have in-house capability for, like, let's say TCQ permitting, US Army Corps of Engineer, or would you hire out, or what, how do you guys usually, in the past, what have you handled
Absolutely.
that?
We do the vast majority of the work for our government clients in-house.
Right.
But we recognize there are always going to be things that we can't handle inside. And we have relationships, existing relationships with other firms that we would bring in if the case arises. I do not expect that to happen very often, but absolutely, you bring up very interesting points where when you're dealing with very specific, especially federal agencies, it helps to have somebody who has an existing relationship with those entities. And I'm not opposed to bringing in people where necessary.
Right.
Okay.
At the city of Victoria, when you were in-house, what was your greatest challenge that you had recently, other than deciding to go on your own as an attorney?
Can I give you a challenge that was, okay, recently,
Yes.
the greatest challenge would have been Harvey, and then COVID, and then Winter Storm Uri. Okay, because I would, as city attorney, I was also the attorney for our emergency response. And so we had a joint city and county EOC, and I was literally in the bunker for 3 weeks during Harvey. I was literally in the bunker every day during COVID. We had daily press conferences, our mayor, Raleigh McCoy. The COVID process killed Raleigh McCoy. He didn't die from COVID, he died from a heart attack, but y'all know how stressful that was. He died in office during the middle of the COVID process, worked himself to death. He was a great, great man and a darn good mayor. Taught me a lot about, interacting with people and really, leaning on those relationships. Undoubtedly, those things were the most stressful deals recently that we've had to deal with. But I was going to go back to the very beginning, though, because when I became city attorney, I had a mayor under indictment. Yes, for something he allegedly did in the scope of his job as mayor. Okay. I had a city council member who was quietly running for higher office. And so everything that he brought up was couched in national politics terms. And so you can imagine what that did to our local conversations. And I had another council member who refused to be in the same room with some of the people on council unless they were in a formally called meeting around the city council dais. And yes, that included strategic planning sessions he refused to attend. So dealing with those relationships and getting past some of those struggles, that was hard. We got past that eventually, and I'm not going to lie to you, it took some elections to get there.
And you took the job, and all that was such an enticing package, I'm sure.
I have a background in education. I was a school teacher, and then when I got into being a lawyer, I worked for TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards in Austin. Okay, so you know TASB. And my wife told me one evening she wanted to move back home to Victoria. She was raised there. She wanted to be closer to her family. So I drove down to Victoria and I met with her mother. We were going to drive around to look at rental houses. The day I drove down to Victoria, my mother-in-law met me at the front door with a copy of the Victoria Advocate, and the title was 2 words: Mayor Indicted. She met me at the door with a newspaper and said, "Are you sure you want to move here?"
Right.
2 years later, I was city attorney.
So I ask you the same question, why Port Aransas?
I told you, I've got saltwater in my blood.
Okay.
I get on that ferry and it's a lot like getting on my fishing boat. True story. Today, I'm driving my wife's car, and the ferry pulls out from the dock, and I look down at the dashboard looking for the depth gauge on my boat dashboard. I was curious how deep the channel is. It's 45 feet, by the way, according to the Navionics map. Yeah, absolutely. Saltwater in my blood. I love the coastal bend, the whole coastal area. Our family getaway is a fishing cottage that my dad built when I was in junior high. Every weekend, and we would head out to what we call the Creek House. He had a professional company pour the slab. We built the walls, we weathered it in. We did all the interior construction and.
Did you get building permits?
That would be a question for my dad.
So you did mention a navigational district. Which
Yes.
one was that?
Calhoun Port Authority.
Oh, the Calhoun one. Oh,
Yeah.
the Calhoun one.
Yeah, we no longer represent them. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But I do have a good relationship with the port director over there, Charles Houseman.
So in being a in-house city attorney, and now you're coming to be, I don't want to say an outhouse city attorney.
I love that term.
I know, but being one of those relationships that you spoke of, you don't have that many with the people and coming in. Will you be able to just offer us what we need as opposed to go in depth like you have in your career as an in-house? How do you compare and contrast those?
That's a great question. I can tell you that the relationships that I have built with the cities that I'm working with right now are very similar to the relationships that I had when I was in-house. It is my goal to build those relationships so that I have that effective, you have to have an effective working relationship. That's the start, right? But then beyond that, you got to know each other. You got to get a feel for each other, and you've got to be willing to stand up and do the right thing. You have to protect the city, but you also have to watch out for the people that you're working with, because these relationships that we have are sometimes all that we have when things get going tough. I've told you, I've dealt with some very difficult client situations where council was very, very divided. You guys put some very specific rules in your RFQ about who your city attorney responds to. I suspect that's because of some history you've had. I don't know that, but generally those rules arrive out of trying to solve a problem. Okay. The rule that I'm talking about, of course, is that I would be working primarily with the city manager, receive all direction from the city manager or the city secretary, right?
No, it's council and me.
Yeah.
Council.
Yeah, council and me. Yeah.
And city secretary. You need to add 2 people to that list. Okay, I recommend that whether you hire me or someone else, here's your first bit of free legal advice. You need to add 2 people. Number 1, mayor. All right, because there could be a situation arise where the mayor needs to talk to the attorney, maybe about the city manager. Sorry, David, to say it that way. But if I can't take direction from the mayor without coming to all of council and getting a 4-3 vote in favor of her talking to me, that's a problem. Okay, so you need to add the mayor to the list, and you need to add the police chief to the list. Okay, because there may be a officer involved shooting at 4 a.m. and that police chief may need to get me on the phone. So I would recommend making that change. But other than that, I absolutely do think it's a good idea to have those strong individual working relationships.
So you're saying that you work with council and the city manager, and it doesn't say mayor in there either. I mean, it says council, but you're council. So and as far as our charter is what I'm talking about. So is that like any council member could call you up to ask you a question?
That's not the way I understand what was written in the RFQ. The RFQ says council, which I take to mean as a whole.
Okay.
So that means in this room,
what we put in there mimics our charter.
yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
4.4 or
Yeah.
something of the charter.
4.4.
And so if you're sitting here as a whole body, you can say, Mr. Gush, would you please go draft us an ordinance that does this? Or would you please investigate this? All right. Absolutely. I can take direction from council as a whole. An individual council member calls me up, I would say, please put that on a council meeting.
Okay.
Great. How many cities you represent?
We represent about 5 or 6 cities. I hate to be vague that way, but there is a city that is listed in our our list of representative cities that I have never talked to. And I'm not sure if they just simply call us once a year. I've been with the firm about 8 months. Maybe they haven't called yet. Okay. And so I'm not sure if we still represent them or if they just dropped us and ghosted us. I've also done, special projects with other cities. I do a lot of training. I've done training in-house with some cities on various different subjects as well.
And you have one of your attorneys, you said, is a city prosecutor, so they would take on that role.
We could do it that way. My recommendation would be that I serve both as the city prosecutor and the city attorney, because I think, again, going back to the relationships, I think it makes more sense for you to have a single point person. That's going to depend a little bit too on scheduling. I really like the way y'all set up your meetings today, and I'm assuming that's a normal practice for you to have your planning commission followed by city council. It allows you to push all those things through on one day. Likewise, if you have municipal court on the same day that I'm here for city council, that just makes a lot of sense for things to be very efficient.
We don't do that, but so maybe something to consider.
It's something to consider.
More free legal advice.
Yeah.
And who would be our representative?
That would be me.
You.
That would be me, yes.
Bringing us both.
Yeah.
You can't take a trailer across the ferry, can't you? Oh, you should not have said that.
Any other questions? Does anybody have any other questions? David?
Oh, good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Also did a great job. Okay, those are all the presentations that are going to be here in person or live on camera.
Yep.
So,
David, are there any financial concerns? There were quite large differences between some of the firms. I mean, any concerns from your point of view? Billing rate?
No, not the rates. No.
Anything special cost?
My biggest need is attention, right? Can I get the person I need, when I make the call? That's my biggest concern is, I need response.
Mhm.
So that's.
Right.
Okay.
I would like to say that I would like, if possible, more time. It's hard to make a decision this big. And I will be honest, I read most of what was presented, but it's been a very busy week, so I didn't get to read everything, and presentations were great. I personally would like more time if we could put this to next meeting or even after our election. If we can keep an interim, but I would like at least till the next meeting. That's just my thoughts.
I feel the same way. I mean, these are some great presentations. There's a lot to think about.
It's hard to make a decision
I
right
can
now.
possibly make a decision tonight myself.
When is our April meeting? The
20th.
20th. So we have Port A week the week before.
12, 13.
11th, 12th, 13th.
In a lot, and I don't disagree, because I do think and appreciate those, that made presentations tonight, because it is one thing to read a packet and to think you've learned a lot, and then meeting someone in person, whether it's online or in person, does make a difference. And I think it can change, your opinion and give you a lot more food for thought. So I don't have a problem and wouldn't have any problem postponing until next month's meeting, to allow more time to develop more questions after listening to what we've listened to. And maybe, we all can come up with a couple of extra questions if we have them later, and get that answered through David, or reach out to some of the additional references. That was my biggest thing that I felt when I read through all of them. They did exclusively list all their references, which was great. And having time to check some of those and call some of those other cities and municipalities, I did not have time to do that. I'll be honest with you, not in just 1 week. So I would be in favor of postponing at least till April.
I would like time to be able to call references, or for us to decide I mean, do some of these references want to get 7 calls from 7 different people?
Right.
Or how do you go through that process?
I mean, I think you guys should each, if you want, each call them. I don't think it. I think you should each, if you want to call references, call them. I don't think we should worry about how many calls they get.
Yeah. I mean, we called
Yeah.
last time. We called everybody.
Yeah, I'd think each one of you should,
I've called.
if you
people
want,
already.
each one of you call. I don't think they care. It's only a couple minute conversation usually.
Well, I went to them all.
Well, I went with them all too, but
Yeah, I did.
I still would like more time to
I
decide.
thought
So,
the 3 presentations were great tonight. I
Yes.
thought, I mean, I put a lot of emphasis and maybe unfairly, but I don't think so on the folks that showed up. I appreciate your time. I thought presentations were absolutely extraordinary. I love the energy from everyone here. And personally, I'd be ready to go, but if you want to delay some time, that's fine with me too.
I would be ready to go too.
all right.
Yeah,
I think as long as we make the decision by the next meeting, not keep prolonging this, I think the decision needs,
Yeah.
must be made at the next meeting. Because I mean, we've been,
Right.
we don't want to keep pushing this off. We need representation.
yeah, we don't have, but nobody here tonight.
That'd be my only thing, is still want to keep pushing it on.
Absolutely.
So do we need to make a
This is a motion to table? Or
Yeah,
postpone?
I'm definitely for waiting till the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not that there's consensus in moving this item for discussion and decision for the April 20th meeting. Okay,
Brandy, you need a vote on someone
right.
needs to,
Then I'll make a motion to move this agenda item until our next scheduled meeting, April the 20th.
right?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Brandon, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Hart,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes,
Motion carried.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
thank you
thank you
guys.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate you
Thank
guys
you so
taking the
much.
time to come down.
And be
Great
ready
meeting
for some
you.
phone calls. if
Yeah.
you want. So,
And Cynthia and Cynthia.
Yeah.
gals and.
Yeah, great job, you guys.
Yeah.
Wait, I couldn't see you over there.
And safe travels if you're driving home tonight.
2 minutes.
All right.
Yes, we
At some
can.
point here.
Okay. The Councilmember Park has asked for a quick 2-minute break,
All right.
so let's have a quick 2-minute break.
I'll take that.
I'll be back. This was for the one that was well.
Just for the record.
Yeah.
bet y'all.
I ran over here because I knew you were gonna yell at me like I'm over there talking. I was like, man, where's Wendy? She just showed us.
I didn't know they were gonna want to do. interview.
Oh. Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. 5 minutes. break. All right, we'll move on to item number H, which is discuss and take action on the final report from the Planning and Zoning related to possible changes to chapter 25, zoning section 25-161, number of off-street parking spaces required.
So if you guys remember, this is one of the items that came out of the short-term rental discussion group. This was the only one that required a change by ordinance. So that's why I had to go to planning and zoning first. Planning and zoning discussed it quite a bit at their last meeting. They voted to not make any changes to it. They had some concerns with adding additional parking spaces, impervious surface, the additional add of impervious surface to properties. They didn't really feel like there was much science behind the thinking of it, and they thought that it could possibly lead people to bring more cars by adding the one spot. So their recommendation is to not make any changes.
So that's the final report,
That's the final
right? So,
report.
which is a recommendation to you guys.
Right, so you guys still make the decision and direct staff to create an ordinance if you choose to. That's just their report. and
So
their
they were just saying if they don't have it, the extra parking in their driveway or something, they're gonna put one in the landscaping or in the yard or something, or
No, so what this change would make is,
To
right
make-
now, if a 4-bedroom house came to apply for a building permit, we would make sure that they had four parking spaces.
Okay.
If this ordinance were to go through, we would make sure that that 4-bedroom house now had 5 parking spaces.
4 + 1.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I think to your point, that would mean that instead of them putting extra landscaping or something around the
Yeah.
property, they would just make more concrete. or-
More
this
impervious.
is just for a new build.
Right.
Correct.
Another point of theirs was that there's really not that much left to build anymore. Most of that is coming in PUDs that have kind of their own parking requirements set. And that this might be punitive to the few remaining infill lots that are still to be built.
Because this wouldn't change existing, obviously.
Existing houses, no ma'am. Yeah, that the parking ordinance in 2014 didn't change existing.
Okay. So that would.
Right.
Now, it would change if they did a major renovation.
If they did a major renovation, over 50% of the house,
Right.
or if they added a bedroom to their house, then they would have to come up to the parking requirements.
Well, I mean, I think depending on what we decide, that would just mean that, if we don't move forward with adding, then it all goes back to enforcement.
Would the additional space have to be permeable or could it be?
Right now, we just have a requirement that every parking space be improved.
Improved.
So the parking spaces right now themselves don't have to be impervious. They can put pavers, they can put crushed granite. It just can't be dirt or grass. It has to be some kind of improvement. So right now, there's not a requirement. I mean, I don't know what people would choose to do if you're pouring a driveway, you would just pour more concrete. In my opinion, we don't get a lot of people that put impervious surfaces down for their driveway and parking areas.
I think bringing fewer vehicles to a town is good for the town. It's good for the neighbors. It's good for traffic, getting on, getting off. It's good for the beach. It leaves parking spaces for boats, trailers, golf carts that seem to keep expanding. And although it's nice if you have a problem and people are filling up the street, but I think there was also discussion, not here, but allowing to count the garage and then also red striping is sort of.
Right, so the discussion about counting the garage right now, we don't count garages as the required parking spaces because most people don't use them. What they were saying that the garages count towards now is if you're advertising that you have parking spaces and those are available, you can advertise those parking spaces. Still, doesn't meet your parking requirement
But
as
it-
required at the building.
But
permit
at
stage.
least people can use the garage to
It's
park
helpful.
in,
It's helpful.
if they clean it out.
It's an incentive to get people to clean out those garages and allow
Right.
parking to be used.
Right. How long does those garages stay cleaned out? I'm coming over here, ask check the garage. out.
Yeah, don't park in my garage, definitely.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, just making sure then that, you know, I think the ideal behind it, based on what I heard from the committee was, to hopefully alleviate some of the pushing everyone to the streets. And, you know, I could go either way on it. I think the main concern is, you know, as the town continues to grow, if we keep pushing more and more people into the streets,
Mhm.
we're gonna have to restrike more and more streets and, you know, before you know it, we're gonna have to, you know, possibly do, you know, no parking on the streets or do a paid parking program and, you know, so I don't know, you know, is this a stopgap? I don't know. I mean,
I mean, you choose a home if you're gonna stay that meets the needs of going, and we don't want people to push the limits. We've never wanted them to push the limits on occupancy, rent a bigger house.
but they do.
Right. And we went through the thing of nobody's going in to count occupants. The parking is something that you can see. It's very visible. And it makes people think I need to get a house that has more park. I'm sorry, this is my favorite house I like to come to, but we're bringing 5 cars. Then get the house that has parking for 5. So. That's
Well, adding that one additional parking space does add more cars. That's a problem we have on this island when it's busy, so.
I mean, keep adding, I mean, additional golf carts. I mean, even if you don't bring an additional car, you're now already.
Everybody rents a golf cart, so
Yeah,
there's
we
your
do.
additional car
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. I mean, so, I mean, whether you bring a car or rent an extra golf cart, I think they're gonna be used.
Still takes up space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing, it does.
Yeah. Well, you bring that extra car and then you rent a golf cart. There's 2 extra actually, so.
I just think that we've got to go back to the basics of enforcement and forcing these short-term rentals who are only supposed to have 4 cars, only have 4 cars.
We don't have a rule right now that limits the number of cars they can have.
I mean, but what I'm saying is, you know, we know, we went through all the rules, we changed all the rules, we're telling them they have this parking for 3 cars, right? And so if that's what we tell them, then the short-term rental management companies need to make them follow the rules. And so
Agreed.
I know that's
Sounds like
difficult,
it
you
is.
know, I
Yeah.
mean,
We
I
didn't-
get it, but
How are you gonna make them do that?
Well, when I'm renting from Airbnb or VRBO, let me tell you, they're very strict on that. I have been asked to move my car at numerous places I've rented. And so we have learned with our big group of friends that we rent a place, just like Dale said, that allows 5 cars instead of 4. So that factors into what I rent when I go, and I rent a lot out of town, so.
I definitely think people pay attention to that.
Yeah, so that it definitely needs to be a rule that people need to follow. I mean, it's hard, but I've been called to say, hey, move your car or we're towing it, like right now, so.
and I mean,
It gets my
can we,
attention.
I mean, we can ticket a house if we go by and it's advertised for 4 parking spots and there's 12 cars, right? I mean, if they're all up and down the street. And it's not
It would
allowed,
be-
and it's not allowed. I mean,
But if
I know the on-street
Only if
parking
they're
is. but-
illegal park.
Only if
Right.
they're illegally parked. If we allow on-street parking and I rented a house that said that it had 4 parking spots and we bring 6 cars and park 2 legally on the street,
Then
we
that's
wouldn't have a
different.
way to write them a ticket for anything.
But we want them to advertise there's parking for 4,
Right,
not parking for 8.
right. which
Because
we
the
made that-
Yeah, the
Yes.
majority of the people do pay attention to that and try to follow the rules, and that might entice somebody to reduce the number of cars they bring.
Strictly enforced.
So the recommendation from P and Z is to cancel this. Do we need a motion to approve cancellation? Or
Prove no
Um,
change.
I approve no
No
change,
change.
or do we? Yeah, do we even need a motion then? If there's no change.
I mean,
We have to-
yeah, you're just accepting a
Right,
final
they're
report.
accepting the final
We
report
accept
that
it.
they presented, which would require no change, because P and Z is the recommending body to change chapter 25. And if their final report does not suggest a change, then it dies if we accept their.
So we're done.
I make a motion to accept.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Chairperson Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
No.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item I, resolution adopting the annual review of the Parks and Recreation Department Youth Program Standard of Care Policy for the 23-24 year. Ken, thank you
It's me.
for patiently waiting.
It's gonna be fast.
Thank
We,
Thank you.
so really the only major changes that we made, and they're not even major, it's, we just went back and changed the language of COVID. When we last updated, we had several protocols that were in place and they had to be in writing. And so we've gone back and we've amended. We still kept a lot of the way that we receive students and take students out to the vehicles and that sort of thing. But would entertain any questions you might have if you have any. But it's pretty standard. The standard of care hasn't changed.
Right. I don't think I had any questions on this one.
Is that a city shirt?
It is.
Can I get one of
This
those?
is,
Those
this
are
is
cool.
this is the official logo of Camp Marlin.
I
Oh,
like that.
that's
That's
cute.
cool.
I like it.
So do we just need a motion to adopt, to approve
Yes,
the resolution?
we do.
Yep.
Then I motion to approve.
You actually have one.
I'll second.
No, I don't.
Sorry.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger.
Yes.
Mayorperson Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion
Thank
carried.
you for
Yeah.
that.
Ken, great job.
Thank you, Ken.
All right, item J, presentation and general discussion from Broadson Associates on Hurricane Harvey recovery.
He was
Sorry
excited
for
to go.
rushing up here. Leo texted me at 5:15.
Shoot, I think we
Hurry
should
up.
give Michael and his
So-
team a round of applause. For all the good work in New Orleans.
Yes.
Yes, so we'll start off with that good news, right? Practicing patience paid off, this time, but we were very successful in our arbitration. I know it was a bumpy ride this last 30 days. We postponed, allowing FEMA more time after they ignored the previously allotted time, but it paid off.
I think it did too.
It
It's a
was
good move.
successful. I think it made them reach deep down into their team to find the right people and the right mindset, and it worked. And so we do proudly as a team stand up here today to say we're just shy of $7.5 million on your public safety building. When we went into that arbitration, we were a little below, so almost doubled it. We were successful in a lot of the circulation. We were successful in a lot of the codes. And kudos to Raymond Janak and Mark Graham and their team from the design side and our legal arbitration team, Gaffney and Associates. And that's
He's a little bulldog, man.
he's something.
I found out he was a wrestler.
Oh,
from,
wow.
Louisiana, and he was a two-time state champion, undefeated.
Still holds the title.
Yeah.
The only one undefeated.
1972.
So, the book, don't judge a book by the cover.
Yeah.
But great guy. We've been, and you guys, thank you for trusting. I know this council and previous councils have relied on the information we brought to you, and you allowed us to do our job to get to that point. And nobody wanted it to take that long for sure, but we're there. I'll roll into the fire station because we're in that same kind of position with FEMA. We're not going to take our guard down. We have a heavy lift on the fire station. We got some time to go. We'll look at the 660 square foot price that we did use at public safety and utilize that in our argument. FEMA, hear us now. But they switched us all the way down to repair, so, this one is going to be a more detailed argument, but. We're pretty confident behind the position that we are prepared to take, and that'll be the 1st of May, so I'll see you one more time. Before we go in front of that, but the team is preparing for that now. Charlie's Pasture Pier, nothing, this one was the one struck, we got the report, I actually had time to read it while sitting here in the audience. It came in at 7 o'clock, so in the preliminary look, it's nothing major to be concerned with. There are recommendations, 2 recommendations made inside the structural report. Looks like there was a presence of some hairline fracturing, and so they're recommending some epoxy injections. So we'll work with getting pricing and the right people to do those suggested repairs and bring that to you before we move forward. But we do have the report in as of tonight. Charlie's Pasture Bulkhead, we had a good meeting this week with the state on the mitigation to get the additional funds for the elevation piece of it. We're in the process of adjusting some numbers and some grants now that public safety is determined. That should allow that money available. No guarantees, but it looks promising. The boardwalk, we did receive an email yesterday for the phase 2. Due to the environmental impacts and the concerns, we will make it into another year in recovery. They are not going, FEMA's not going to do, they're gonna do a full consultation, right? We try. So it'll be a 2024 project, but other than that, that's paid for. All things look promising. It's that environmental review that you just can't move. Gas distribution system on our project, Hurricane Harvey only related. I think we've spoken enough about that, but things are progressing. We had some punch lists and some final items on the high pressure, some few little trouble shots. That's all progressing forward. We got a plan. Yep, and so that'll close that side of it out. Distribution, we are still struggling a little bit with supply chain, meters, regulators and stuff are still in that time we told you about before. So they're not here yet. But they're progressing through a lot of the pipe, and that work. And so we had a progress meeting this week. I actually saw Jim Urban this morning. I think we're doing fine and putting the right steps in place for that. The Public Works Garage, I do think this is helpful and a helpful result of the public safety building. If you remember, we put that one on hold because these were ahead already and more critical facilities. As far as the arguing with FEMA and codes, they sent us some questions. It's looking better. I don't see us in arbitration on this one. And so we have some stuff we owe them responses, but there's definitely a positive lean forward approach on this facility, which is refreshing on one. And then just to report projects completed to date, the 28 projects with 20 of them still going, including some of our temporary facilities. 7 for contents, and then we have the one in arbitration, and then we have the one blowout in appeal. So we're in good shape. Cash flow, all the money, reimbursements and everything seem to be on target. So good month.
And also good news on public safety. We're probably a couple weeks from 100% plans. So which means we can go out to bid. So we're real close.
Yeah, Raymond and I, we spoke last week with the team. He's pressing forward, making some adjustments and stuff. So we there's a bright future. It's coming.
Quick question on the high pressure line. The dip that they were supposed to put in for Cinnamon Shore.
That's the 3 things that in the next 2 weeks will be resolved. Yes, sir. We did some work directives. We reviewed all the depths and everything, and the city's going to receive the corrective measures to get the system correct. Yes, sir. No pushback from Equix on it. I'm personally involved in it with Leo's help a lot. And
So just out of curiosity, since we're talking about gas, they're going to put in a new section of line, I'm assuming, to put that dip in.
Well, that's not on the high pressure side.
That's
That's on the distribution side, on the Cinnamon Shore side where it dips under the culvert, right? Yeah.
Okay.
That's on the distribution side, right? That's not.
No, it's
Oh, that's high pressure.
Yeah, there's 3 box conflicts. we brought Equix and Jim Urban's team in, the depths and everything and the contour that they got to go ahead.
Went out, shot surveys, and they discovered exactly what the depth of the culvert is, what the depth of the line is. And matter of fact, we're gonna pull the line back and make it shallower, so it's gonna go over the box culvert.
So
So we have a fix.
So how's that gonna, I mean, because they're got to shut down gas to.
No.
No, they won't? Okay.
No impact.
No impact.
Still shut the gas.
Just making sure.
We'll be sure to report on that when it's complete, so you know it's not us. So that's it. Warranted any questions? Thank you, gang. A
Thank
great
you.
job. Trust and patience.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very happy. All right, so item K, resolution awarding request for proposals RFP for the 16-inch water line demo and relocation RFP 2023-05 to Island Construction LP in the amount of $225,672, authorizing future budget amendment for fiscal year 2022-2023 budget, and authorizing the city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative of the city in all matters pertaining to said bid award. Outside.
Who's that?
Branch.
Great.
So he's right.
Oh. Okay, just real quick, what this line is, so this is related to the fire. This is related to the fire station, so there's our block that we purchased after Harvey, which is this piece of dirt here. So that's the city's dirt lot. This water line, this large water line comes right up. This is a section right here. This is a section of Avenue D. It's just never been built. But the water line, this big water line comes right up through here, which our new fire station is going to sit right on top of it, which is a no-no. So what we're doing in this project, right here, we will divert that line. So we'll remove it. And then we'll divert the line down the alley to Avenue C. And then up the other side, and we'll tie back into the system there, to the water district. So this has to be done, because here's the thing, the fire plans are coming very quick also. So they're only about a month and a half behind police. So we have to get this line moved, or it's going to delay placing the fire station there. So it's pretty critical we
So-
get this thing moved.
Just out of curiosity, can any FEMA money be, okay?
Yeah, no,
Okay, all right.
no,
Just curious.
it's going to be out of.
You know, we're not gonna know until we know how much we're getting for the fire, until we know what our bids are for the public safety, how much excess we have. But if you remember, we have CDL funds still available
Sorry.
of about 4.3 million, and we have TANs, the tax anticipation notes that we issued for 9.3, yeah, for almost 9.4 million. And we have all that money, and that TANs has to be allocated to one of the three projects of public safety, fire, or public works. So we do have funds available. to
Okay,
cover it.
well, I knew we had the fund. I wasn't sure.
Right, but
That's
no,
fine.
in the FEMA fire station, since it's changing its nature, going from fire to fire and EMS, it's what they call the capped project.
Okay.
So once they give us an amount, it's not an at cost. Once the bids come in, it's just like police. They're gonna give us a check, and then we gotta make
Right.
it.
And then for that one, we know we're on the hook for the EMS square footage. That's what, we gave the EMS square footage to grow the police. That's in that
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Now we're in a deficit. So when the fire project comes, the EMS side, we're in the hole on that.
Mhm.
That's us. Thank you, Darla.
I'd like to motion to approve.
I'll second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers?
Yes. Yes.
I
Always think she's.
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Abstain. All right, item L, resolution awarding request for proposal for the municipal airport fuel tank repair RFP 2023-03 Tabasco Services, Inc. in the amount of $80,139.73. Funds from the airport account number 125.
So if you guys recall, we were kind of wondering why gas or aviation fuel tanks were so expensive. So Lawrence, could you give him the 2-minute spiel on why aviation tanks are so expensive?
The 3 minutes be okay?
2 minutes.
And
not-
tell us- 2 minutes. And tell us how much the cost of a new one was, because
Yeah.
that's what Councilmember
So-
Owens was asking.
Thank you for that lead in. Everyone remembers our discussion from last meeting, so we'll
Yep.
get right into
We
it.
do.
A new tank. Got quotes here. Oh, I got it written down in front of me, sorry. So $142,762 turnkey with this current company. Turns out there really aren't a lot of companies that do this. It's very specialized. I was able to get costs on just tanks from providers. One was at 97,000, another at 110 almost, and another at 212. So for the turnkey, we're at 142,762.
Cause you'd have a huge installation fee, a huge demolition fee. So even though the ones at what, 90
Correct.
90 something, by the
Yeah.
time you have a finished complete, you're probably up in the 150.
Cranes, disposal,
Yeah.
transport, welding, all the operations.
You're hitting 150 for a new tank.
So the maintenance, we only got the one bidder for the repair on the tank, and it includes other items along with the tank also. That's gonna be at 80,139, just to remind everyone, and that's what we were recommending to approve last time and still are. Also, on top of that, I found this 50-page document from the Federal Aviation Agency, and this is all your rules and regs related to
That's why tanks are so expensive.
avgas tanks, and this is why. All the rules and regs.
It's like I was telling Kelly, if a marine tank is a Yugo, the aviation tanks are, Mercedes still good? They're Ferraris, right? They're Ferraris. That's why it's night and day. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Do we get any kind of a guarantee or warranty on this at all?
We do get a warranty.
Yeah, there is a warranty. I don't know the exact length of that warranty. See if I can find that.
At least half the life of a new
It's
tank.
not listed in there, is it?
Yeah. I didn't see that.
That was my question. If we're gonna pay 80, are we gonna get 2 years out of it? Or are we gonna get?
What a new tank is.
Blank on the bid? Okay, I can find that out and get it to the city manager. I'm sure there's at least a 1 year. I would bet there would be more. But after further discussion with the provider, he does believe we will get 20 to 30 years out of this tank from this one maintenance item. That's the length of expectancy on
They'll
this.
just write that in the agreement for you, right?
Yeah.
Not what he said, put it in there.
I actually have an email from him stating
Okay.
it, so I do have that paper trail.
Make it part of it.
If Russ, yeah, 20 to 30 years is what it says.
Any other questions?
How long has the current tank been in place?
Great question. So that's been there since 2013. But what he is recommending that we just do a little bit more preventative maintenance.
Okay.
Basically, let's keep a closer eye on it. Let's probably hit it with a pressure wash and 8 touch-ups annually. So we'll try to do that this go around.
PMs on it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I motion to approve. I'll second.
Right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Frigger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Nolan,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item M is a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an interlocal agreement with the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, NCPA, improved terms and conditions with authorizing city manager to sign all documents associated with said.
Yeah, so this is a interlocal agreement and then also a resolution for entering into the agreement where we can basically use NCPA. It's a group just like Buy Board, who we are members with. They are co-ops who do pre-bidding services for municipalities and other local government entities. So when you go onto their website, you get to look at pre-vetted, pre-bid products and vendors. They're already, reference checked and everything, and the lowest price people to choose from. So they guarantee and provide all that as a service to where we can jump right into contracts and not have to go through the bidding process. Also, being a member with this group, you get discounted rates.
as opposed to just bidding and coming back with bidders. They actually kind of haggle them down and get the best price for you. One of the other reasons why we brought this one before you is because on the next item, if we approve with this group, we can then move with the next item directly through this group with the discounted rate.
Is it buy board discounted as well?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is, right? I mean, it's the same. Okay,
Probably at least 6 or 7.
right. This is just one we were.
Yeah, this is- well, we want to buy this next parking thing, and to do that, we need.
They're only members.
Yeah, they're not on the others.
Yeah.
Which is, you find them, some are on some, but not all.
Yeah.
So
We earn points.
I motion to approve.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Graham, please call the roll.
Councilmember Siddall,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rowland,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers.
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item N, resolution entering into a service agreement with Honk Mobile USA Limited to collect and manage all revenues and parking fees for the Port Street parking lot facility, approving scope of services, term, and providing an effective date, and authorizing the city manager to sign said contract agreement.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So now that we're members with the said group, this is being provided through them. So we can sign up with them right away if the council does agree. This is related to our Port Street parking lot. Basically, we were assigned to look into different ways for payment systems for that parking lot. And originally I started my research into the old school method, which really isn't that old school to me, but I guess there's a new school. So whenever you look into the payment kiosks that everyone's used to seeing, and then also the arms that go along with that, it gets pretty expensive, and I'll run through it real quick. Just the kiosk ranges anywhere between 12 and 20,000, depending on the features that you want. It doesn't stop there. You have to contract with your payment processors. You have to provide internet, you got to provide electricity and all this other stuff. You kind of end up into a lot of different things. It was brought to my attention what the latest trend is. Now it's just a QR code. It's just a sign you scan with your phone, and it's all on your phone. So at that point, looking into it, you only contract with one person. You're not providing internet. You're not signing up for payment processors. It's all in one, and you're relying on their internet. So it's a lot cheaper to go this route. So basically what it would look like is just a sign, scan it, pay to park.
No gates.
Correct, no gates. This is made
No
for
gates.
gateless technologies. In fact, this group already works with plenty of different people that are gateless. I would like to lead into everyone can pass this around. Does everyone have their phones on them?
Yep. Yes. Somewhere.
Oh, sorry. He's giving it to everybody. I was trying to be.
There you go.
So this is kind of a mock design, like a pretend design, right? If we had it out there, our little sign.
So this requires
Yeah.
enforcement by officers on the site then. Is
Uh,
there like a thing that's printed out, Lawrence, or what? How does an officer know?
The
that-
enforcement section?
Yeah, how do they know they paid their?
Let's do this. You're right. There are
Let's do this little.
two different things. First, whenever we do this, we'll see what the customers see. And then next I'll go into what they call the back office, which is the city's.
Real-time satellite
yeah.
with a laser.
Okay, so is everyone on it yet?
Yeah.
If you don't pay, it'll.
If you don't pay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Text message.
Has everyone logged on to the Honk Mobile? The QR code? This is what a customer would experience when they come to our website. Please put in a fake license plate number, just anything.
What's your?
Dave,
phone number?
That was
Dave,
from-
what you-
Same thing.
PX
Now, for your rate, please
MP 1980.
for your rate, please choose free 1 hour. Otherwise, you're going to be putting in credit card data, right?
Oh, free 1 hour. Okay,
Yes.
the one down there.
Okay, now everyone ready to park for free?
Yep.
So this is what a customer is going to get. If they want to look at this, this is what they're going to receive.
So let's say will send a reminder at like.
See at the bottom?
Okay, and so they can then add another hour.
Yes, it'll send you, it'll give you like a 30-minute head, we can set all those parameters. Beep, hey, 30-minute reminder, your parking's expiring.
Yeah.
Do you want to, A, I have left the parking lot. B, give me another hour. So we'll be able to set all that.
See at the bottom, it says email me a 15-minute notice.
Right.
Right.
So we can do that. I think there are other parameters we can add to this, but this is kind of like the basic feature setup that the customer would
We've
experience.
not come up with prices.
We've kicked it around, but yeah,
I mean, this is similar to what San Antonio and Galveston do then.
A lot of parking garages do
Yeah.
that now.
see, they even put our
We
little.
figured this was better to start with this. If you guys wanted to move to a gate later.
No, this is.
Yeah, so we put in the conduit and everything for gate systems. We just figured that this was maybe better to start with.
Definitely.
And you know, if you guys wanted that option of, hey, let's go to a gate, we're getting ripped off, blah, blah, we could always do that because we've already put in the conduit for
This is good.
internet,
Yeah.
power.
And
So we can always go to that.
when it says $24 a zone, what is a zone?
Yeah, let me go into these next little pictures I'm sharing with y'all. So. And I will get to your enforcement end zones. I wanted to show y'all what the customer would experience first, right? So you just got to see the role of the customer. Now we're gonna take a look at what the city has. Does everyone have this page?
Yeah.
Yes.
So whenever the city's looking at our what they call back door, this is where we control everything. We would select where we're at in Port Aransas in our parking lot. We would have a little bing there. You can also see where it says manage rates, edit zone details, publish. This is where we would edit everything and then publish it. If we wanted to change something, we'd go down publish and it pulls up basically, if you go to like the yellow, the next one. You can see all the features on the left-hand side. That would be everything that we would have access to and be able to, change. What you're looking at here is just a transaction report for the year. If you go to the next page, you can look at a finance report you can generate from this. It's pretty crafty. It's very versatile. You can pull a lot of data from here. I'll read some of the things that our provider here told me about. It has advanced tools to help with managing parking inventory, changing rates, generating finance reports, gives us valuable insight into the parking behavior, both during on season and off season, thus enabling us to make data-driven decisions in the future. Whenever we start getting this trending data, we can then make better decisions on our rates and what the trends are. They're already with a lot of municipalities and universities. In fact, UT Arlington, that's where I got my master's. I reached out to them. Their parking, he's a doctor, I guess they're a parking doctor. He was super happy with them. In fact, he even hit me up for a red fishing trip. I told him, yeah, come on. So I guess I'm taking him fishing. But yeah, he wrote me a whole page on how satisfied they are with them at UT Arlington, which is like one of the biggest campuses right now. It's a big commuter campus. The breakdown on this, if we want to talk, you know what, before I go into finance, let me answer your questions. So we were talking enforcement. So we would have the back doors, what they call this, basically access to reporting insights, finance, permits, management, all these nifty features. So if someone, I would imagine when they pull in, we're going to have signs. Because I asked that question too, what deters like the cheaters, kind of like what David was asking. She said signs and ticketing. So make sure you have your signs up. Hey, we're going to ticket you or we're going to tow you, which I don't think we're going to. I won't say because someone will be watching the video. We won't tell the secret sauce of what we're doing. But we will have signs up, right? When you actually start ticketing people, you generally get compliance. She said, will you ever get 100% compliance? She said, no. She worked for a municipality up in Michigan. And she was what they called, I forget her title, but she was head of parking. She said, even with the gates and everything, they couldn't achieve 100% compliance. She's like, you got cheaters, you got people that know how to get around it. They break things. They give you fake cash. She's like, you'll never achieve 100%.
For $3.
So,
I said for $3.
Yeah, right.
for our enforcement in this situation, if we were to use it,
Just like to get by.
we would designate a person, whether it's code or police or whomever.
Or we could use with a parking.
Well, we would use one of our parking guys, one of our beach.
There you go.
We'd probably steal him for like the last 5 minutes of the day and have him peruse the lot.
We can make Rick walk.
Yeah.
It's new hip.
New hip.
Well, when they go to lunch, they can just cruise.
Yeah.
So
It'll be based on demand.
Yeah, yeah.
basically, it'll be something like the yellow page. You could see in there, it'll give, do you see plate number? Do you see space number?
Yeah.
We don't have numbers right now, but I'm thinking we need to probably go ahead and do that next. That would make it easier for whoever our enforcement is to know, oh, okay, this one's out because it's gonna be glowing red. As soon as they hit refresh on their phone, they're gonna see everything that just expired. So in my mind, I think if I can tell them, well, if they can see.
Yeah, they'll know the space.
That'll get them to them quicker instead of trying to figure out our license plate. So that'll be the next thing, and that's not really gonna cost us a lot of money. But that will be the tool that they have. We can send them once a day, twice a day, something we'll figure out here pretty soon.
So we'll number them the way you would drive through the lot.
Right.
So that person's just gonna be looking at it going, you know, as he's going through by spaces 1, 2, 3, 4, he's just gonna see it scrolling with his thumb, driving. And then he'll get to like a red one. Ooh, there's a car in there.
Now,
Shouldn't be.
She did state if we wanted to, if we're having extreme issues, and she doesn't anticipate that, but she said you can get a license plate reader and it'll read all license plates on entry and exit, and it just automatically starts mailing out tickets at that point, if we wanted to go there. So that would be our next up feature if we wanted, if we're finding, you know, we would find out through our trending and all of our data we have, whether people are.
I think here's the thing. I think in the big cities where you see a lot of 1 and 2 and 3 hour use, cheating's more of an issue. But I think we're gonna be seeing,
Correct.
hey, I'm gonna come bring my car there for the weekend. I think we're gonna be seeing more of a long-term client. People aren't gonna park there for an hour and come do business at City Hall.
Unless there's an event going on.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see more long-term.
We don't have any shopping that they're dumping their car at, running in, running out. This is gonna be the long term.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see.
Although we could set the parameters for all the values, long term, short term, we can do all kinds of different things. We can do promo codes, we can do discounts for the businesses to hand out.
So this does bring up one thing.
We can bring different zones.
I don't want this to turn into a long-term where you dump your car for a month at a time.
It'll be too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I don't want this to turn into.
It'll be, you'd rather go buy a boat barn at that point.
Well, that's why we
Yeah.
make sure that.
Yeah, that's why we gotta work on the pricing.
And then
We gotta calculate.
Yeah.
Why you wouldn't wanna stand there for.
Right.
I've got some numbers, but I'm not gonna throw them out.
Okay, that's fine. That's
I'm
fine.
ready
I'll
to
talk to you.
We'll talk with David about it. But yeah, I've already asked her for some opinionated prices, and I think they're pretty good. For the zones, a zone is, okay, back to the blue map. These are like zones, little pin drops. So with this, although we're signing up for our one parking lot, we can use this for multiple zones. We can create this for example, if we wanted to do our boat harbor, people pay, that would be a new zone. They can all pay through that. Yeah, any other parking.
We could put the airport on there.
Yeah, we can do like paddle boarding, anything we wanted where people are gonna go and
No, we
get
could
things.
just add to it.
So
At the
we-
pool, because you do it at the pool, would that be easier?
Parking,
Like cashless? No, I mean, for,
Enter into.
yeah, to enter in the pool, I mean, is there a mechanism? It seems like it would be the same thing.
possibly.
We're
We
gonna put
paid
this
the
in the example that they
$24.
don't pay.
The city pays $24.
Oh, yeah, so
Exactly.
let me get into the financing. Great question. And if you see on the financial impact on the agenda memo. So it's daily transit parking transaction, 25 cents.
Who pays that?
So basically, whatever we charge to the customer, this will all get pulled out. So basically, all the money's right is getting processed through our provider. They're gonna cut us a check monthly. So they're gonna minus out all these things. So for example, I already did a calculation. If we said $10. The first thing you would see is minus a 25. And then what is it? 2.9%, and then 30 cent. In the end, out of $10, the city would in the end get $9.16. Plus, we would have to pay the $25 a month. What is that?
Zone fee.
Yes. Now,
That's for the whole place.
remind you, these are discounted rates. Normally they're higher than this. We're getting discounted rates through the people we just signed up with.
I think everything was double.
Yeah.
What's it like for the contract or anything? And do they put the signs up? Do we put the signs?
We'll do the sign.
They would, yep, they would give us a proof and we would take it to our local people
Okay.
here and have that created.
So as far as.
And it's a 1-year contract, but we can sign up for longer if we wanted. I'm sorry.
So as far as numbering the parking spaces, is that something we?
Yeah, we're gonna figure out what the logical drive-through is and what the.
As far as
Yeah,
finances, I mean, that can just come out of.
Oh, yeah,
We've
we're just,
got it makes a loop.
Right,
But, yeah, I counted, we had 151 spaces plus 6 disabled designated spots. But we can probably minus or add more spaces if we wanted to, but that's what I count that we have.
Can I motion to approve?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 yes,
Yes.
thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you, Lawrence.
All right, item O, resolution authorizing the purchase of a John Deere 5100E cab utility tractor and a 520M loader for the streets department from Deere and Company through Buy Board Purchasing Cooperative in the amount of $72,706.80.
So since this isn't by board, we do not have other bids. But this is a budgeted item along with a like articulating arm mower that's also going to be attached to this, but that was under 50,000, a different piece of equipment. So it's not included here, but recommend approval.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item P, general discussion and possible action on the future use of city property located at 430 North Alice Street.
That was me. I had talked to Dave a couple of weeks ago about the Nueces County property. And I asked him, I said, how can we go forward with that? You know, how could we move forward? And we talked about a couple of things. It just seems like, you know, we're working on a lot of stuff. It'd be nice to get this project done and it would enhance the look of the community and, you know, the Parks and Rec uses it. Chamber uses it, tourists as well could use it, you know, and it's just Allister Street just looks so
Yeah.
bad at some
So
point.
so you guys have two options, like Joellen said, either attempt to do it now or push it to the Summer Goals Workshop. It probably makes about a 6-month difference, I would think. If you did it now, we would have to hire the design engineer. Because I don't think we can use half, because we just hired them to just do the plan, just do the
Schematic.
the Parks and Rec master plan. So take a month to hire the engineer. Probably it's not a huge design. Maybe it's a 3-month design, 2-month design. So, and then a month to go out to bid, and then you sign contracts, and probably, depending on what they're putting in there and what they have to order and where it is in the supply chain, 4 to 6 months to build it. So you're
Year out.
right. So how many months did I just add up?
About a year by the time you
Yeah.
get all.
Right, so you could probably, if you guys went to do it now versus if you put it in the Summer's Goals Workshop and it goes to October, you're starting in October, you're buying yourself about 6 months?
Yeah.
April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, you're 7 months maybe. 7 months difference in your start times.
Well, I know Colleen had this in the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Colleen and I worked out that
Right.
kind of schedule.
Yeah,
So. Okay.
it just seems like it just takes
forever.
Yeah,
Um,
be nice to get
Darla,
that done.
if they did it, it would be a budget
Huh?
amendment, correct?
Yeah.
You guys would have to do a budget amendment
And
and do
do
not.
hot tax. Hot tax.
Yeah, it is hot tax.
Well, depends on what.
Well, it depends on what your
It should
components
be
are.
the- should be the- Right.
We also have if part of it's park, we have park dedication and we still have some park, bond money left from the McDonald block.
But we want to spend that over there.
Yeah.
I think we can we?
Yeah.
We can't spend that.
Parameters for parks, I believe.
Oh, it's kind of, it's the old vague spend where you want. We have, I mean, you guys, the money's there, but.
I mean, I think.
It really just depends on what schedule you want.
I mean, I'm all for things moving forward and seeing projects
Yeah.
get done. My concern though, as it is always, is what's one more project we're putting on the already overburdened staff. You know, now we told them, go fix the gas system, you know, that's gonna be a huge
I
deal.
know it is.
I know.
A huge deal on top of the time that they
When I
don't
put this
have,
on there,
so-
we didn't lose. gas.
I mean,
We had lots
I agree with you, Joellen. I would
Yeah.
like to see a lot of things happen, you know, sooner than later. And you're right, if we start now, we'll gain 6 months, but
It would,
It's a lot.
I mean, this load would have to really go to Colleen.
Yeah.
Not me.
and if she's, you know, if we think she's comfortable with that and staff can squeeze it in, then we move forward. But that's my concern.
Yeah, I get that.
I
And I
think-
get that.
I think if, maybe we should defer this to Dave talking to Colleen. And if Colleen's willing to move forward with it, bring it back to the next meeting. And kind of leave it on Colleen's shoulder to make that decision whether to move forward now or to.
Wait till after
I
the
mean, Dave, what's
workshop.
your, I mean,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
No, I mean, you know, I would imagine Colleen can easily handle the lift. I mean, she has cleared her plate with, the parks plan, so, I think she's, you know, she'd be wanting to do this. My guess is you're not gonna be using. Well, I'm just guessing. You're probably not. You're probably using more of a park engineer, probably, so. You're not using an engineer that we're tied up with our FEMA stuff. You're probably
Right.
using someone different. Yeah,
So you don't think this would be too much for Colleen then?
I think Colleen could handle this.
Like, I might like to motion to go ahead and move forward with the project.
I'll second.
Okay, so what's the move forward with the project, meaning it's direct staff to.
It's based on the
hire an
schematic. Well, based on the schematic, but it would ultimately still come back to you guys to look at the design at like 50%, just to make sure they're on track. So this, you guys could direct staff to move forward with for now, the design, which, then it would come back to you guys at about 50%, just to make, hey, we're on the right track. And then, move to, complete the design, and then ultimately it'd come back to you guys. We'd put it out to bid and you guys would come back and approve it again. So you would have, you definitely.
Should we just not sign her up for this, or? I would feel more
I
comfortable.
mean,
doing
I have pretty good faith in Colleen. She's probably watching.
We motion for her to do it, and she comes back. And why?
What are you doing to me?
Okay, so there's a motion and a second, and to be clear, is to start the design phase for said project.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, the first step is we gotta hire an engineer, which you guys are gonna hire. That's step one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Brandon, please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Seedaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Hart,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item Q. Ordinance, second reading, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, Licenses and Business Regulations, Article 8, Short-Term Rentals, amending Section 12-252, Registration and Permit by adding the requirement to advertise number of available legal off-street parking spaces and allowable available existing garage spaces to be counted in the advertising count. Second reading, no changes.
Yeah, no changes.
I motion to approve.
You can.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Councilmember Seedaw,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item R, ordinance second reading amending chapter 23, traffic and motor vehicles, article 8, golf carts and neighborhood electric vehicles, and article 9, stopping, standing, parking, and providing for severance reading and effective date. Same situation,
Yep.
second reading.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion?
The only thing I wanted to discuss real quick was the one street, it has the list of the streets you added. It was 9th Street. You know, behind it, it says to Avenue I,
No, hold up, 9th
9th Street between G
9th Street.
and I, or does that mean G and J?
Oh, hold up one second, let me,
It's behind
9th
Whataburger.
Street,
Yeah,
right,
You
9th
should do
Street.
both sides of that thing.
Yeah, because that thing's horrible.
is it now now they got more rentals back there? and it's
No, no,
packed.
it's the trash truck.
No, I
And then
understand
it
that.
works With a boat.
They had both trash trucks, one on each side the other day.
9th Street between G.
It's behind
and-
Island Surf.
Yeah, there's
From
I.
G.
Behind the
so
beer
it's-
hut.
I think J.
Oh, yeah, it's that,
So
No,
it's
J's-
J,
it's right here.
I would do all that.
I is, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, there's
J would be
I.
further down.
J
this
is
is
all at the
G
stop
and
sign.
I.
At least
At the
to
pool
behind
place.
Beer Hut or right before that, because now you got all those houses are opening up and they're in the street there also.
So just extend it to J then, is what you're thinking?
Yeah, or. Yeah, because.
Okay, so if you go to J
Right,
on both sides. Right next to the beer hut is a house
yeah,
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 but-
this house,
But so maybe
and
that's a rental
And,
too.
and they have a fence and their driveway that goes on the left-hand side of the fence. There's a big culvert, a drainage storm sewer that at some point was supposed to be moved so they could have access to their driveway
Oh, wow.
what?
They had a driveway previous.
before the culvert. How do
Which,
you get
you're
into it?
talking about the house
Yeah,
with the blue roof?
yeah, right there in the back.
But it doesn't
Is
have to.
Where's
go
the
past-
culvert?
there
Oh, that,
by their driveway
It
going.
doesn't have to go past the Beer Hut, but it's just a lot of congestion there with Whataburger, the Beer Hut, the new houses.
And I
all
mean,
there.
and I think the chief would make the ultimate decision if it's both sides or one side.
But it's not I, it's J,
Well, no,
right?
I is the street right by the beer hut.
yeah, probably.
Mhm. Okay,
Goes across.
okay. Oh, I got you, I got you.
But I mean, but ultimately the chief and
Well, that'll probably, okay.
would decide whether it be, right side or both sides.
yeah,
But you're asking to extend to J,
Yeah, but
but you're good with I.
yeah, because that I goes basically right behind those houses too. And that's where they're just all congested from, you're right. I was just questioning.
okay.
Okay, any other changes?
23-117 conspicuous is spelled incorrectly. It's all very minor.
What is that? Oh, I don't know.
Conspicuous. I don't know what that is.
Conspicuous.
Spell check didn't work. Or couldn't guess the right word.
Okay. That's all I said.
Spelling, okay.
There's no change.
No change.
Other than the spelling. Yeah, that's no change.
Well, wait a second.
What?
On Joe.
Hang on, let me get back to
Are these getting done or is these a?
Can we put-
This is the list that we can,
it. Can we put oleander on there? I even lost it, lost in space.
I love parking on Oleander.
Yeah,
Last
now
time
you
you said, even once we approve this, we can change them.
right,
Yes.
why we got it. Oh. Yeah, that's the only one I had, oleander. The ad. You got Mercer Village, you've
Yeah.
got all the new ones down there by Fox Yacht Sales, you've got the
Yeah.
other ones behind by Salty Dog coming in, you got 4 more going there. And right now they're parked all over at night.
So just make the one change or? when you
Yeah.
decided not to do
Just
that?
adding no. So we didn't.
Can we add, is that an allowable street based on where it is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You could do it.
Does
You could-
everyone want to make the change?
And Chief would analyze it and
Yeah.
make the call on it and
Okay.
work with.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor for no change. And you want to make a change, so we need to vote on the motion in the second.
Okay.
So the original motion
Now we need to do.
or the,
The original motion that's on the
Oh,
floor.
sorry.
Unless
Yeah, we
you,
gotta do
well,
something.
unless you accepted the amendment, which it could be an amendment.
Okay, so someone who made the motion of the second needs to suggest the amendment.
Amendment.
okay, I'd like to amend it to include Oleander. And then,
Are you still seconding that,
I think he did,
David?
but I'll second.
Yes, I will. I thought, I'm sorry. That's fine.
Okay, so
Okay.
we have a motion, an amended motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Brandon, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Member Seelow,
Yes.
Member Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Member Simoing,
yes.
Councilmember Hart,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, city manager report.
Okay, I kind of chimed in with Michael to give you guys a report on the public safety building. Like I said, we're a couple weeks away from having 100% plans done on public safety, immediately putting it out in the paper for bid. Don't know if we would make the April 20th because we want this to kind of soak for a while. Get it out to a lot of different construction firms. But the good news is it's there. We're ready to roll. We're super close and that's going to be really exciting. Hopefully that's sized about the right size to where the bonding isn't too big. And we can get a lot of decent regional builders that are interested in that. So that's good news. Same with fire. Fire's probably 2 months behind public safety. The biggest thing with fire is really working on the civil. The hard part about this, but we think we got it figured out. The hard part about this lot is that it's very long, which is great, but it doesn't have a ton of width. And so we have to get these fire trucks. The dirt there, that street right there is about at 5.5 feet elevation. Our slab has to be BFE +2. So base flood there is 9. So +2 is 11. So center of the streets at 5.5, slabs at 11. So the engineering is really tough on it. One thing we are looking at right now is the only thing that would need to be at 11 would be any mechanical. So we're thinking that we could possibly have the fire bay at 10 feet. And then we would have a little interior ramp and a set of stairs that would go up to where the offices start. So we would have a 1 foot difference, but that 1 foot makes engineering wise, it's a huge difference when you're dealing. We only have about 60 feet of ramp available. And it's super critical that, especially on the ladder truck, as it comes up something so steep and then it flattens out, when you get to the middle of the ladder truck, you might high center, you might bottom out. So we got to be super careful to get our civil right. So that's really it fits good, the public works fits, the fire, it fits from the plan view. It's figuring out this grade issue is the really tough nut to crack.
Requirement for the bay to be at a certain level?
The bay could be at, well, what happens is that the more difference you have, now you're talking huge ADA ramps inside. So if you have a 2 foot, if you have a 1 foot difference, it means you have a 12-foot ADA ramp somewhere connecting the garage to the offices. If you drop 2 feet, Now you have a 24-foot ramp system. And at the end of every ramp, you have to have a 5x5 level landing. So if it's 1 foot, it's not that bad. It's a 5x5 level landing, a 12-foot ramp, and then a 5x5 space at the bottom. If you dropped another foot, now your ramp just starts to get really big, and it's inside your building. So 2 feet. Plus you want your equipment up as high as you can. So we really don't want to drop below 10 because we want that height for storms. So we think that probably that 1 foot difference is going to be kind of the magic number to make it all the civil work. Now, the good part is what we're doing to really make this work is we're spotting the bays of the fire truck right here, and then we are going to build Avenue D. And that gives us, never been built before, that gives us a nice ramp. And so our ladder truck is going to circle around the block or Station Street, and we've already tested it and everything, and it'll drive right up Avenue D and pull right into the fire bay. And that ladder truck is going to be dead center on Avenue D. So that's wonderful. So that ladder truck is going to have so coming from that direction, super long ramp, boom, right into the bay, park it. It's great. It's coming out the other side tonight because it's coming down and turning, right? But we had this thing over on the Chris Lankin was driving it, and we had it over on the new Citizen Collection Station ramp that we just finished. And that ramp is steep, and that fire truck ate that ramp. I was shocked at how nimble that ladder truck is. I was like, God dang, man, that thing turned on that ramp, and I thought it would spin out because it's kind of loose and gravelly, and man, that fire truck is a beast.
We only have the one ladder truck?
Yeah, that's the one piece of equipment that really worries us. The bumper trucks, we think that's not the problem. It's the ladder truck. For some reason, it has really high clearance at the bumper and on the front underneath of the truck and the back, it's really high clearance, but in the middle, it really drops down. It's almost like a lowrider. And so that's the design problems with this one, but we're working it. You see, if you come into my office, you'll see the drawings everywhere laying all over my table, but it's getting there.
Cool. Okay, so 88th legislative session.
88th legislative session. So I do apologize. Usually during the week before the council meetings, I try to get very up to date on giving you guys a good ledge update. And so I will be quite honest with you. I have not really done a ledge update this week. However, Joe Ellen did give me a really good, where'd you get this? You got it at the yeah. So Joe Ellen got a really good March 3rd update with a lot of, and it's pretty concise. It breaks down. Do you have your copy with you?
No.
No, you don't. But some of the ones we're watching that are still hot are there's an STR one that's really bad.
665.
Yeah, that's a hot one.
434.
Yeah, you have them in here, right?
Yeah. I think that 434, they can take comments on that now.
Yeah.
They went.
Oh, yeah. So it's our three classic guys. It's Burroughs, Springer, and Middleton. Those guys seem to, everyone that I've highlighted on Joe Ellen's list, it's either those three. It's quite often. Springer has no city ordinance can regulate commercial activity. It's just this broad, crazy broad thing. Burroughs has one it's very similar. It's a little more preemption of city regulations for agriculture, natural resource code. That one's it's very similar to don't regulate stuff. A city shouldn't be in the regulation business. It's just a little more convoluted. 2665 Gates, cities, that's the one that limits cities' authority over short-term rentals. So in other words, there's several out there that say cities can regulate use, meaning like a residence where people, live and eat and sleep, but you cannot regulate duration of stay. So in other words, that, and so in essence, everything's a short-term rental because you can't tell someone that they can't rent their house for a day. As long as people are eating, sleeping and living in it, it meets the city's zoning use. And the city should be out of the duration of stay business. So there's a couple of those that we definitely gotta keep tabs on. The 2789 ADUs by right, that's an ADU one. ADUs by right in a single family zoning or unzoned areas, can't restrict. One of the attorneys had mentioned this one, the building permit shot clock, right? That is this, they just keep hammering this one. And basically that is when someone, a developer, whoever gives you turns into Nicole, here's my permit application for a plat or any kind of development permit. We have X amount of days, once we accept it and she stamps it and it's complete, meaning, it's a complete packet, everything's there. What's the term? What's 30 days start to P and Z finish, right? Right, for plats.
This could also include building permits.
Yeah.
Typically take 30 days for building permits.
Right. Yeah.
But other cities do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 6 months I've heard some cities.
Yeah, which is, I don't know how they're doing it because what most of these say is eliminating the ability of a city to extend. In other words, the only thing that can really extend it is when the city says your packet's incomplete. You're missing your layout plan.
Yeah, or
You're
something's wrong with your
incomplete,
drainage or
so we're not starting 30-day shot clock. That's really the only mechanism. You can't delay it by not scheduling meetings. You can't do any of that stuff. So that one's always an issue. Another shot clock, when city can impose prerequisites or conditions on filing a plan or a plat. Raising zoning protest thresholds from 20% of affected owners to 50. In other words, you can't really protest zoning issues, that they're making the threshold higher and higher. Another one that I put a sad face on was debt for debt purposes, the debt service tax rate is voter approved debt only, and it does away with COs, I think was the note you put on there, which is not a good one because I think last time they came after
I get
certificate.
notes
Yeah,
over
they
there.
took, they attempted to take away city's ability to issue C of O notes, which is a tool you guys have used in the past. It's a great way for those, 500,000 to a couple $1 million that you guys, don't want to put out to voters and stuff. So that one's not a good one that we're watching. Couple in here about 380 agreements. There's a couple good ones that are helping public facility corporations, which are good. So we have those on the good list.
Yeah, they went.
There's another Middleton one.
He's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of the property tax relief bills have already passed the Senate. So
Yep.
they're going to the House. So
Yep.
things are moving along for sure.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, what I need to do, I need to haven't talked to Deirdre in about 10 days. So I'll call Deirdre, see if she has anything that we need to get up there to testify on. I know the school just went up this week, right?
Yeah, Miss McKinney was.
Yeah,
there.
she was just there. So let me get an update. If I get any hot, like hot dates from Deirdre, say, hey, you guys need to be up for this. We need some cities. Usually other cities will do it, but it's always nice for you to do your part, because you can't always rely on
Everybody.
everyone. So let me get an update from Deirdre tomorrow. And if she has some hot dates, I'll let you guys know that, in 2 weeks, we go up for the Port A Day. And we do want to make sure that all of it, whoever goes up, get with Fran. I think we've started to make some hotel bookings.
Yeah. Go together.
So we'll get up there. We'll come up with a strategy of splitting up, doing flyers. Talk with Todd, figure out who we need to hit on certain bills. So we'll start strategizing that out because that's coming quick.
Yeah.
That's the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So
I was
Yeah.
up there on the 8th and 9th of March with UTMSI because we had some pretty heavy higher ed stuff we were doing. But I did, Dave, work with Dave to pretty up our legislative agenda paper. It looked much better. We moved the
My
things
Bush League
around.
version.
David Seeloff had suggested moving some things to the top and just, so when I was up there, I met with Todd, I met with Senator LaMantia, and then we met with a lot of different other folks, but I gave them all a copy of our, packet or one pager, which was obviously preliminary to all the filing, all the final bills being even filed. And then a lot of them, there's been a lot.
Yeah,
more
we might have to
since then.
retweak our.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we should, look at some of those and retweak it and just kind of see. But it's good. You walk into a door and if you've never met somebody, all you have to say is I'm from Port Aransas and they know exactly where you are and
there.
who
Oh,
you
yeah.
are. And they want to talk to you, which is interesting. But yeah, no, I think some good stuff happening.
Yeah, that's a fun week being up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'll be
you
good.
get to meet a lot of people. The luncheon's good. It's a pretty cool event.
Our chamber does a great job.
Yeah, they do a good job. Okay.
All right, Darla, you're next.
Pass a bill to not have so many bills. They need to pass a bill to not have so many bills.
There's a lot.
Limit the bills. You have the written report in your packet. I want to point out the huge number for hotel motel tax, looking like it's really up. And I have not had a chance to go over that with a fine tooth comb. Our chief accountant usually is the one that analyzes that number and she's still out. So I am going to have that nailed down better for next month. But our sales tax comes straight from the comptroller, so I have 100% confidence in that. It is up 8.7% for the month. So our first few months of the year, our first 5 months, we're at 2.5%, which is trending pretty well. Our golf cart permit license plates are ahead of last year by a couple hundred. Our first order of vanity plates has come in, and we were going to order our second order Monday, and then staff got really busy with what happened over the weekend. So hopefully maybe tomorrow we'll be able to get those ordered and get them here before Sandfest. But
I'm glad you pointed that out because that was something I circled because
I had a feeling you would.
300% increase was
yeah, it's a little much.
stuck out.
It's a little much. She did about half the entries before she went out. And then what I had to do was dump the rest of the cash that hit the bank. And that was actual cash. So it's got me concerned. But I haven't been able to analyze individual properties to see if there were some property managers that picked up, but that number is going to be looked at much closer.
Okay. You'll let us know.
I will.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling better. I know, out a week, then I get sick again. And I'm just like really behind. But K-State won, so go Big 12.
Did they really?
They did in overtime.
Oh,
Crazy.
They beat Michigan State.
Oh,
And UConn's killing Arkansas.
oh, that's good. I like that.
is Bear so happy?
Yes.
Okay.
Much more is the CNG that we're bringing in rather than when we were buying it from supplier, and how does that affect finance at all?
Oh, you mean the truck sitting out there?
Yes.
It's not a big lift. It's probably under 20 for the entire week.
So does that get passed directly to the gas users then, or is it? gonna
I'll
be
have to work with
budgeted?
Darla on where she wants to nest that. Darla, where are we gonna nest the CNG tanker truck? That's about under 20K. Where do we put it?
Were we to pay for it? Brent?
Yeah.
Well, from the gas department.
Gas
Yeah.
department. Gas fund, I mean.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
So is it gonna hit the users then and bills go up, or what do you expect,
Well-
I guess?
We have in the budget to do a rate study. And we haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. We're gonna have more costs than just the CNG for this, with the
Yeah.
additional crews and
Overtime.
different things in the overtime. And I can tell you that our overtime, I will stand here today and say we were close last week to it. We were scaling overtime back on inspection on some of our projects. We've busted budget in overtime.
Because
Just with
the
this weekend.
Equix project,
And then
we have to babysit them, so.
Yeah.
And then we've contracted with Equix. I think City of Corpus, hopefully they're gonna do this out of the kindness of their hearts. We don't know yet. And of course, we're gonna have to have the additional gas purchase that we purchased from the trucks. So yes, there is gonna be a cost. We don't know that impact yet. And then it's gonna be a decision if that falls back on the individual gas customers, how we're gonna do that, but
We'll bring it to you in April.
Okay.
Yeah.
we'll know those costs better in April, and we'll also, when we go into a rate study, we can roll that into a rate study that could go over time. But
But there's some
Typically, you
excess
don't-
in the gas budget now to cover in.
there is some excess in the
But
gas
without
budget,
knowing
but
how
the
much.
gas, right,
Right.
but the gas budget is. I can't say how much excess,
No, I
it's not. Yeah, it doesn't have a 10-month reserve that your general fund does.
Yes.
Yeah, so. But we'll know those prices better as the next price 6 weeks unfold.
Thank you. Sorry, Lawrence.
We probably said that Corona money's not too, right?
What?
That Corona money's. American
Yes.
No, the CARES, yeah, you probably could use some of that, right?
Well, water and sewer,
It's pretty,
it's strictly,
it's,
it doesn't take gas.
yeah, I
Oh,
know, you
that's
gotta
interesting.
do your research, but they did open it pretty wide open.
Yeah, we'll look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll look
Okay.
at it.
Yeah.
It's been water and sewer, but
Yes, it was, but they opened it up recently. It's pretty wide open now.
great.
All right, Lawrence.
Okay. Airport fuel tank, that processed, we'll get that going. Thank y'all for that. The maintenance on that. I don't know, I'm sure I get passed on to you guys, but our airport manager, he is gonna be retiring.
Soon, yeah.
So we'll have to be looking for a replacement for
I
him.
think we already put out the,
Internal.
yeah.
But Charlie's Pasture Shoreline Bulkhead, 30% complete. Preliminary fill for the blowout area is completed. Additional fill will be completed once the concrete bulkhead structure is installed. All concrete panels for the blowout section are poured and curing. Final storm drain installed. Assembling, rebore, trenching, and forming a sidewalk is ongoing. A total of 380 feet of concrete sidewalk and 38 feet of barrier wall have been poured as of the 16th. I don't know if anyone got to see that, but this concrete area will also have a wall along with it. Pretty neat. It's a good design. Contractor is beginning the work on the ADA ramp for Charlie's Pasture Pier. Contractors are cleaning the seabed and breaking through old concrete to install a steel sheet pile wave protection wall. Work on the emergency repair or the second blowout area that we met for special counsel took place quickly, and that new bulkhead is completed. The wall cap and area fill are next to be performed for that.
That was really quick.
It was.
Good.
Was very quick. And honestly, it's, if it were to happen, it's good it happened when it did, while we had the contractors out there already mobilized, already in contract.
Saves money, yeah.
Right. Citizen Collection Station ramp project is now complete. It has been partially open to the public this whole time, but it's now fully open.
Really nice if you've seen it. Such a great improvement.
It is huge. Gas distribution utility system, 10% complete, scheduled to complete, finalize in 2025. Currently, we're working in phase 3A. This includes boring and trenching access road 1A and the 11th Street region. New pipe is being installed and tied back to the main, waiting on delivery on some parts that are backlogged. Service lines to private property in phase 1 are anticipated to be installed once parts are delivered in the very near future. So we're going to go back and start doing different job functions that we couldn't do because of the parts being missing. New meters, pressure test, pressurizing of the line with gas and relighting customers will occur in 1A in the near future now that we have those parts. So that's basically where they were working some months back. They're going to double back now that we have parts to do some finalization. Harbor boat ramp, 90% design complete, bid, award, construct, start phase to follow. That should take about 8 weeks. Bid award planned for next council meeting. Harbor bulkhead cap repairs, 90% design complete, bid award, construction start phase then follow, about 8 weeks. Bid award planned for next council meeting.
Same, as I just mentioned for the previous two for Harbor Dock 12 reconstruction. Harbor Dock 11 currently is going out for advertisement for solicitation of bidders. Harbor Dredge, contractor began work February 15th and was at 75% complete before shutting down for spring break traffic. Progress has been slowed down slightly from the occurrence of high wind days and now recently storm days. The contractor is continuing work as of this week, though. Anticipate completion of the project Wednesday of next week for the Harbor Dredge.
And then we'll go through it and do some bathymetry and finalize that.
Correct. Yeah, for those really bad windy days, they had to get the barge out there and put it in a safe harbor. They couldn't leave it in there because of liability issues, so it's back. Harbor Peggy and dock reconfiguration, 90% design complete. Bid award construction start phase to follow, 8 weeks. Bid award plan for next council meeting. Harbor Master Building and Pavilion. Foundation has been poured. CMU blocks are being installed for the building. The barbecue pit area is poured. All columns within the pavilion are repaired. The stage foundation is being formed and compacted and tested. Vapor barrier installed along with rebar and concrete. It will be poured next.
Yeah, moving along great.
I ask a quick question
Yes.
on the pavilion, that's obviously part of that whole project. I heard yesterday in the general public that it's going to be available for sunrise service. Is that correct?
We are opening it up for all the previous events that have applied for that or reserved. I don't have the list of the events.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one before.
That's really close.
Okay. so
Yeah, I mean, we have the deal is that Barcom's working off the list from the harbor master. And that's the list. I told him, do not add to it.
Because we can't we're under full bore construction. We're looking at stuff we're looking at maybe helping out stuff in May, but if when is this, in April?
It's Easter.
I question that.
Okay,
I haven't heard of that.
well, will somebody look into that and please, if not, just make sure that we let because it's being advertised that way. so.
Yeah, I've got a list that he gave me in my office.
Think they just can, no, that'll go yeah, bring a blanket, the other pavilion, I mean.
I'm sure they can make a plan B, but we just need to, we need to let them know sooner than later if that's not gonna happen. Because
Sooner.
it's an active construction site.
Right.
That they can't,
The
yeah.
second Sunday of April. Right?
Paradise
You
Pond,
go, yeah, start with when you go.
Paradise Pond Boardwalk extension here. Sorry. Staff met with engineers and contractors for a pre-construction meeting and discussion of the project. Work scheduled to begin by the 26th coming up. Sidewalk path will be staked on Wednesday for a review of staff. Port Street parking lot. We just discussed that. The last thing I'll have to do out there, we have the landscaping in. The sign will be next for QR code. Also not responsible for theft, damage. Also looking into a waiting shelter with a sitting bench area for that little where it makes that curb right there in the middle. We'll have that figured out next. Been reaching out to businesses for that. And so that'll be coming. Street parking lot. Public safety building. City has reached a settlement with FEMA an amount of.
We've already done that one.
We'll go into that. Okay. And street drainage bond 2022. Design phase started. Anticipate bid around December 2023. Any questions?
Yeah. It's nice to see some of these.
Thank you. No, great job.
Thank you.
Lawrence, and thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Okay.
So I got a message from,
Said yes yeah, he said, yeah, they worked out a deal.
Okay.
No stage though. Wow.
So at the pavilion?
Yeah,
Wow.
no, it'll be kind of muddy and dirty, but
We're used to that.
It's okay.
so I got a message from Claire Adams just a few minutes ago, and Rick is at home, glued to his television watching
I'm
this
sure he
meeting
can.
right now. I'm going to start with short-term rentals. Last month, I can't remember the exact number that we had. It was somewhere around the 1,800 mark. As of today, we have 2,222 registered. The complaint hotline, last year we had 78 complaints altogether. This year to date, we've had 6. 3 of those came during spring break. Our building permits, if you remember, in 2021, we did 274 new single family houses. 2022 was 335. This year to date, so far, we're at 93, which is going to get us to another big year, I would assume.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you
Thank
for all your
you.
help this week.
You're a rock star this week.
Oh, my
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah.
Nicole was the list.
Yeah, the
list
list.
guru, man. She helped
Nicole,
out
is
for
that-
tonight, big time.
The short-term rentals, is that, they're just all re-registering again?
Elliot, please join us. It's substitution night. I mean, and y'all may be the new permanents, you know. I mean,
I like it.
that's right.
I like it, but I don't like it because I sporadically come in here and then you guys miss me more. Now you're getting used to me and that's getting boring. And then I just got to read from this.
Raving report to your director.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Let's give him a little look. All right, so Daniel is off tonight. I am here in his place. We can go over February if you like. We can start with questions if you have any questions for me. All right, cool. We'll go into February 2023. We had 80 calls last month. Pretty standard. We've had 162 calls year to date. Our average response time continues to get less and less. I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening. So you guys should be happy about that. It's,
Yes, very happy.
4 minutes and 22 seconds is pretty awesome. Total transport 50. Continue to go to Bay Area mostly. Tree to transport 18. Canceled false alarms 5. Standby operational support 1. Public assist 5. And mutual aid going out of our area into someone else's area was 4. We have had a lot of training and a lot of community outreach lately, which looks really good for us and really good for the city. I have a list here of things we've done. Mardi Gras Parade, Palladium Open House, Stop the Bleed training for pool employees, AED training, more CPR training. Mayor Moore, you know about that?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, yesterday.
Participated last night in a CPR AED training with 4 of our finest, including Elliot, and they did an outstanding job. And I'm glad your response time is 4 minutes and 27 seconds because I feel like I need you to be there as quickly as possible.
Right,
If
yeah.
I'm in charge of saving someone's life before you show up.
You did good though. You're the MVP. Tonight.
Well, thank you. Y'all are awesome. Yeah.
Let's see, what else can I say? AED program that we gave AEDs out to all the city staff, different what am I trying to say here? Different departments. Yes, thank you. So they went out to the police vehicles, the city building, lifeguard stands, and local baseball fields. So we plan on doing more CPR training with that. And that will be follow up probably next couple of weeks. We'll start getting people in and out.
Did you do the senior class today?
Yeah, we did.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was like 60 people. Took about 2 hours.
Like everybody.
Yeah. And we kind of worked out some of the kinks that we had yesterday in your class. So we breezed right
No
through it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
You're
the warm up.
I let a senior boy know last night who was at my house that he'd be getting training today.
Oh, good.
Not for mine. I said, get ready. It's a good training. You better know.
Good.
this.
You probably showed him how to do it. He's probably one of the better ones. All right. But yeah, that went great. So that's really it. That's all I have. Like I said, it's starting to get boring the more I'm up here.
Well, yeah, I was.
It was good.
Save all
It
that
was-
juicy stuff for next week.
No, it was really good. Got to give you a sneak peek.
Yes.
It was actually a little bit on the slow side for us. But we did a lot of training leading up to that, which every spring break, we kind of like do like a mock incident of something that would happen. Sorry, this thing's kind of low for me. So this time we did a simulated pediatric drowning, and all of our crews like breezed right through it. And whenever we do that, we put them on a pump and a ventilator just to see how they would respond in a situation like that. And I'm proud to say everyone did really good. So we didn't have to do anything like that. There was no super real serious calls that we had to go on. So it was good. And then of course, everyone bringing food, everyone like that. So yeah, I don't want to say too much because I'll leave that for next time.
We did lose one EMS guy that's not-
Yeah, yes, we lost, yeah, Justin.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, so he is enjoying his retirement. Yeah,
He's already been on vacation.
I just have 16 more years.
Oh, lucky us.
Yes,
Good, thank you. Don't
Yeah.
leave.
all right, try not to. I'm here
Thank
forever. I always say when Jarvis leaves, I'm gonna leave. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for sticking around so long. All right, LT.
Last but not least.
First.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, that prayer was amazing, by the way.
Yes.
Great job. Thank you.
I told them I would keep it under 90 minutes. So I think I
You
delivered
said
on that.
we're gonna add a little extra for Dave. You outdid Ed.
Ed, yeah.
I told you I was trying to keep it under 90 minutes.
It was very.
It was very good.
Let's see, February, we're talking about February, right? That's where we are. So we had 2,500, a little over 2,500 calls for service. In February, we filed 165 municipal charges and arrested 26 people. Out of those 26 that we arrested, we filed 36 charges. We had 6 that were on 13 different warrants. 15 charges were for alcohol related events, including 3 DWIs, 1 enhanced DWI, and a couple of drug related charges. And we had the assault charge. That's kind of the highlights. Municipal court, we have been burying them.
But they finished hearing today.
They did.
All of this is crazy.
They did. I was absolutely amazed that they got all of those tickets in such a short time. They kind of cussed us every day this past week because they would just get stacks and stacks more.
I was amazed about when I was here late, for spring break last week, later in the week, how many people were coming to pay their fine. I mean, they'd be like, we're here to, little spring breakers, with their mom, they were like, we're here to pay our fine. I was like, oh, wow.
Well, I think that's what kind of helped them move along and get them entered because they had to enter them before they could accept the payment. So they were busy little bees. And the staffing, we were full staff for just a minute.
Wow.
We lost one that resigned right before spring break. She got a couple of days in of spring break and then she was gone. And we still have 1 vacancy in dispatch. But we're doing some interviews tomorrow, so we'll see what we get out of that. And then I've got some scheduled for a couple of weeks from this one. I think it's not next week, the week after. And then we had our annual banquet that was hosted by the Police Foundation in February as well. And I think some of y'all were there and saw that our parking enforcement, Mr. Alex,
Big win.
he got the Civilian Employee of the Year, and Officer Lopez won both the Rookie and Officer of the Year. So he is a very well respected officer within our department. A really good guy. That's kind of the nitty gritty. You guys want a little preview of next month? I've got some numbers if you're interested. If not, then we can wait. It's up to you. Overall, it's less than last year. As of about 7 o'clock on Sunday night, across all agencies that participated, PD, DPS, Parks and Wildlife, constables, and the sheriff's office, we had 99 arrests. 99 people went to jail. I'm pretty confident when the night crew heard that they found one more before the end of their shift. And the municipal court made sure that I had their final entries that they did this past week, which was 759 charges filed with the municipal court in a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing statistics that 795 charges, but only 99
Arrests, yeah.
arrests. So
A lot of those were tickets. A lot of were parking tickets. We had camping violations. We were out there on top of those guys. That makes a huge difference.
I saw a lot of golf carts pulled over in front of my salon, so.
Yeah, we had a lot of golf carts. We had campers, RV. There was a ton of RVs down there.
There were.
Were they parked perpendicular?
they were.
They were.
After the first couple of days, we got them after I think that first Saturday or Sunday, we kind of had a little bit of reprieve because some of them were in there before they knew.
More on the Facebook page asking, is that effective right now?
Yeah.
Or what do we do?
We got the signs changed pretty late, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave them a
But-
couple of days reprieve, but we stayed on top of them and
good, good.
There.
Thank you.
you drive down there now, I think there was two that I saw today that weren't where they supposed to be and they were getting talked to. So that seems to be working pretty good. We don't have much problem with it.
How's Chief doing today?
He's doing better than he was yesterday. He texted me earlier and said, I'm watching. So
Yeah. Oh.
Making sure.
yeah, he's
Well,
watching.
He
So
had a late night last night.
Yeah, he
had
did.
a procedure at like 8 p.m. last night.
yeah, but he's they're gonna keep him another day, he said, so it may delay him coming back to work by a day or so, but he'll be back midweek next week is what they're looking for.
Surgery week or what?
I'm telling you, everybody's been going in for it.
5 or 6 people.
I'm doing it now.
I'm good, no. I'm good.
I'm gonna go get a knee.
Okay.
Thank you, LT. Great job last week.
Thank
And
you,
thank you
LT.
for allowing me to go with you for a little bit.
Oh,
It was
no
great.
problem.
And you got a helicopter
And the
ride.
helicopter.
Oh,
You
very
don't
good.
know what you're missing.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
Oh,
he's gonna come back and we're gonna have some more conversations about the helicopter.
Oh, nah,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah. All right, so item 10, city council comments and items for future consideration. I will say again, thank you for all the staff. It's been a crazy last couple of weeks with spring break, which I know takes a lot out of all of you to make happen, not only the people in this room, but of course, Public Works and, you know, to get the beach ready and just all the other things. So I know it's a lot. And it's, I know, been a really rough week for a lot of you, including you, David. And so I appreciate everything you've done to turn the situation around. I think the fact that we didn't have a single citizen comment regarding the situation says a lot about how wonderful the team pulled together and made a huge difference and made a situation that was bad, you know, turn out to be better.
Yeah, the staff really stepped
So,
up. A
yeah.
big thanks to
Lawrence, I know, I mean,
Nicole.
y'all worked
Darla.
tirelessly all weekend
Yeah.
and have been nonstop. So kudos, because it's a tough job. So I really appreciate that greatly. Just so y'all know, it was on the, well, it was planned to be on the agenda, but I pulled it only because he wanted to, but I am going to do, we are going to do as a city, a proclamation honoring Bobby Sherwood next month. I had talked to him about doing it this month, just to honoring him for his service, but we're going to do it next month, which will be right in line with his retirement party weekend, which is that weekend right after council. So I just want to make sure that y'all knew that. I mean, I know y'all will be here, but for those others that it will be in that April meeting. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. So,
800 pounds.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really? Good.
Yeah, 800 pounds.
Yeah.
Man.
Um,
And that morning, there's kind of a double whammy. That morning is the appraisal
Wait, Scott,
district
yeah.
first.
Go protest your check.
Then Bobby.
They said they were probably gonna stay for the party.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? All right, we'll adjourn.
Thank you.
You know it.